everybody, and welcome back to the Blu-ray Hunter. I'm the Blu-ray Hunter, Jonathan A. Mooney, and I've got a guest who's never been on the actual Blu-ray Hunter, I don't think. I don't think you've been on this channel. I think
Really?
we've done stuff that was for Indie Film Cafe when I was kind of bringing in the Blu-ray Hunter, but then when I changed it all to the channel, actually, no, I think we did some stuff earlier.
Yeah, pretty sure we did,
Yeah,
but
we
it's
did
been a
in the
while.
early beginnings of the Blue Raptor. I think you, me, and Lenore, and then you, me, and some other people, but whatever. But anyway, Paul A. Presenza. How you doing, Paul?
Yay, I am moveless. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. So we are a part of Indie Film Cafe, if you didn't already know that. Indie Film Cafe is one of my channels. I have three. This I co-host with Paul. The other two I actually just like that's my solid owning. So I own the Blu-ray Hunter, but I also own Horror Film Lovers. So you'll see people cross over from the different shows that I do because why not? You
And
know?
I own the monkey.
He owns the monkey, but you co-run, IFC. That was a thing for both of us to do. And
Right.
so I thought,
It's our love child.
yeah, so, sounds really wrong, but all right, I'll go with it. That's our love child. Um, but anyway, we decided because I posted that I was doing a top 20 favorite directors, and Paul got really jealous and was like, I want to do one too.
That's
And so I
right.
messaged him and said, well, we didn't do anything yesterday, which we were supposed to, but we weren't able to. So let's do it. Let's do something today. That's fine if you want to. And he was down.
I immediately did 50, and he was like, "Oh, let's not do 50. Let's stick
Let's
with
not do
20."
50. I'm going to keep it because this is now going to be top 20 Thursdays. It's going to be really tough
Yay.
to say. If you thought quick review Thursday is tough to say, wait, you're not going to want to say
Well,
top
and it's
20
funny
Thursday.
because yeah, I got all excited and I did like 50, and then I left all that information at work, and then like 10 minutes before I go on, I'm like, oh shit. So now I had to go back, and the first 10 are easy, and after that I'm like, oh man, I don't remember. And so it's going to be a little different than what my original 20 was, but that's okay because I can do 100 directors. Maybe you can't, but I can do
I
100
could
directors
probably
that
do
I like.
100. It was an interesting endeavor because it was more along lines of like figuring out where where everything should go, you know?
Mhm.
So it was like, oh, do I like this more than this? Who do I like? You know what I mean? And so
So
it's kept
this is
climbing.
basically move our directors that we like as a pair compared to say by merit as a
Right.
you know what I
So
mean.
this isn't
So
like the best directors
right,
of
right, right.
all time kind of thing. These are our favorite directors. So these are going to be people who like, if we like somebody because we just enjoy their films, but they're not necessarily like the greatest director,
Right,
as far
right.
as like I guess, having talent or I mean, some might not have talent because I think you even said you're going to put some stinky directors in there too.
Well, eventually, I think I approached this a little differently because in addition to folks that I liked, I also thought about these are folks that I admire in one way or another too.
Yeah, they
As much as I love me some Ed Wood, I can't say that I particularly admired him for any of his skills.
that's an interesting thing. So yeah, well, I think it will be a bit different because I think what I did was I just took my favorite directors that I could watch their movies over and over and over again, and
Sure.
not just like, are these people the ones who inspire me? Actually, okay, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. So we're gonna do our top 20. Also, follow us on Indie Film Cafe. I will leave the link down below. You guys can check that out because we're gonna be doing a top 50 soon. Then
Might as well.
later, we'll get up to top 100 by the time, maybe in a couple months or something,
Oh
when
yeah.
we get some time to just do this. But I mean, this is pretty easy, we pretty much can do this through Zoom or we can do it in person. It doesn't really matter. So, but I guess I'm gonna let you go first. Who was your top 20? Like, who was number 20 on your list?
Well, I was thinking maybe I could do 10 and you could do 10 and you could, kind of like we
Okay.
did with, you know what I mean?
Well, I was thinking one and switch, but if you want to do 10, 10. That's fine,
Yeah.
but let's go through that. So who's your top 20? Right, well, like
Okay.
what's your number 20?
So from my number 20, I have Werner Herzog,
Ooh, and why is
who,
that?
whom I really, really love. You know, Wrath of Aguirre and Fitzcarraldo, and oh gosh, Grizzly Man, plus all of his wonderful, wonderful documentaries. He's got a very, very interesting point of view that I think translates through most of his films. He's an excellent director. He's an artist at heart, and I just always really enjoy his movies, even his more obscure films. He's definitely somebody that I not only enjoy but also admire, and there are little bits and pieces that I love. I usually, you know me, I usually cannot stand narration, but it always seems to work for Werner Herzog. Whenever I hear his voice narrating some portion of one of his films, I just feel very calm and relaxed, and I want to hear more. It's like I get a chance to actually sit and talk with the man, which I would absolutely have loved to do. So
Hmm.
Werner Herzog is in my number 20.
Okay, so Fitzcarraldo, was that the one that they did in the like sort of in
The
the
Amazon, right?
Amazon, and they actually made a whole documentary. My dad got the documentary
It's a
because he heard it was
great
good.
doc.
It was a Criterion documentary. It's
Great.
on DVD, but unfortunately it's not on Blu-ray, which kind of sucks because we were looking for the Blu-ray, but
And
we
it's
got
a
the DVD of it.
perfect example of a docs that rock because it
That's
really is.
I will do that one for when we do Docs That Rock, you know.
Because they built a replica boat
I
and
saw that.
dragged it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
watched it
and
with my dad. It
dragged
was
it.
like, oh my God.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was, if you haven't seen, I forgot what's called Lost in something or whatever. It's like
I forget too.
yeah, it was a great documentary on Fitzcarraldo, and I had a blast just watching it. So there you go. So you're number 20.
Mhm.
Um, all right. So what's your number 19?
Number 19 is Dario Argento, one of my
Nice.
favorite Italian directors who's done a lot of great stuff. Most importantly, of course, is the original Suspiria.
Original Suspiria, of course.
Just blew my mind. I mean, he's one of the guys who perfected the Giallo style of filmmaking with
Hmm.
sort of Italian slashers. But not only that, he did it in such a way that there was all these really cool supernatural elements mixed in there, which I dug. That's one of the reasons I really love that style of slasher versus sort of like the crazed teenager slasher. And just his use of color, his use
The
of
reds,
music.
especially reds are, I mean, just
He's a
beautiful.
master, an absolute master.
They look really good on like Blu-ray or 4K or
Yes,
whatever. So,
yes, yes, yes.
all
So,
right. So Dario Argento. All right. Who's next for 18?
uh, number 18 is a more of a Hollywood guy, but he has done some amazing stuff. That's Ridley Scott. Uh,
Ridley Scott. Yep.
Ridley Scott is, I mean, you can sit here and talk about his resume, but of course, it all goes back to Blade Runner, one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. And the man just had a vision. And even at the time, people, for some reason, and I still don't understand how this was not a massive hit at the time, but a lot of people just didn't quite get it. I loved it. I was blown away when I saw that in the theaters. That's one of my seminal movie watching experiences. Was in 1981 or 82, and I was just like, oh my God, if I had the money, if I could make a movie, this is what I would want to do. And it's just, he's always good. You go back and you look at most of his movies, and he's got a certain style and a professionalism about him, and he's just really, really good.
I mean, it's funny. I'm like, neither of them are on my, spoiler alert. Neither of them are on my top 20, but they'll be in my, my next ones or whatever. But Tony Scott and Ridley Scott are some of my favorite directors, but I prefer Tony a little bit more. And I don't think you do because I think
Right,
Tony's a little bit more mainstream than
right.
Ridley was, and Ridley was a little bit more, even though he was mainstream, he was more of your style than mine.
He was enough that he actually transcended Hollywood, where to the point where he was enough that he could sort of have his own clout and make his own things. He
Hmm.
didn't have to, producers didn't tell him how to do stuff. He told them, which was good.
Exactly.
Um, Same thing with the next guy, number 17 for me. He started off more indie and then became more Hollywood, and then he kind of cycled out. But it's William Friedkin,
William Friedkin.
who's
Woo.
made a lot of good stuff, and especially you go back to The
Exorcist.
Exorcist. Oh, another movie that just blew me the hell out of the water the first time I saw it.
And I just got the
Oh
French
yeah,
Connection.
French Connection. So he's definitely won a number of Academy Awards. He's the chase scene through the subway at the elevated track scene in French Connection. That's a classic. Yeah, and that's just it. He has a knack for setting up scenes and setting up visuals that just are impeccable and help tell the story and help solidify everything. So he's definitely somebody that I've always appreciated and admired.
There you
Um,
go. William Friedkin. Number, was it 17 or
mhm.
18? 17.
17.
16. What's number 16?
Number 16 is the guy I don't know that you particularly probably care for, but I like him, Lars von Trier.
Yeah, he's not he's not even on my list right now because I haven't seen enough of his work. I know you're a fan of like Antichrist
Oh boy, great film.
and some of his other work. I'm
Hmm.
familiar. I think this is I have one of his. Is this his? Let me make sure before I think so. I'm gonna put it up there. Dogville? Is that one of his
Oh
movies?
yeah, Dogville.
Yeah.
That one was decent. That one was
Yeah, so
decent.
I got this. I mean, I found it at the store and I was just like, I don't own it, so I'd buy it. I just don't
Mhm.
think I don't think he's ever done anything that like was my kind of thing, you know.
Well, if you would start, my suggestion is start with Europa. That's a really good film, and then go into Breaking the Waves. That was
I own
great.
that one actually, so I
That's a
do need to watch
great
it.
film. And
I own
then,
it from Criterion. It just never I haven't got down to actually, you know what? I'll definitely be watching it at some point because I need to watch all my Criterions I haven't seen yet. That's my goal
mhm.
for this year is to watch Criterions I haven't seen just so I can, because I just watched was it Two Lane Blacktop and I was like
I
I'm
want to
putting this
see
on
that.
Criterion Watch because this
Yeah.
is just it's a great movie.
And
So,
then Dancer in the Dark is also really, really good.
Dancer in the Dark. I don't think I've seen it, but
Melancholia.
I know of it.
Melancholia. The Nymphomaniac movies are a little, even for me, they're a little weird, but they're still pretty interesting. And then of course Antichrist is probably my favorite movie from him.
And
So
that's kind of a is that kind of a hard movie to watch, from what I've
I mean,
understood?
not for me.
It's not
It's
an
a
extreme
hard.
movie, right? It's not
It
like a
No, no.
okay.
Well, it's a hard subject matter, and he takes a very, very unique, interesting, and sometimes very disturbing point of view for the film, and it's really, really well done. It's intense. It's one of the most intense films you're ever going to see, and
All
it's
right.
just, and that's what I like about him. He creates moods in a way that very few other directors do. And man, I'm just thinking of a guy that should be in my top 20, but is not. So
See,
um,
that's what happens,
I
Like you're gonna give
know.
me people that I'm gonna go, damn, why didn't I put him on my list? But I didn't,
Um,
and I'm not changing it.
I'm gonna remember to put that in for number 21
Yeah,
for
see,
but
that's the thing. And then even though it's funny because I mean my list probably evolves. I don't know if yours will too, but
oh,
like
yeah.
there'll be sometimes I'll say, oh, this person will be up there, but then maybe they change. Maybe somebody swaps spots or something, or whatever. You never
Right,
know.
right. It happens, and it's one of those things. I can't remember everything, but so yeah. So Lars von Trier at 16. 15 is another guy who was outside of the mainstream, but did a couple. And it's Sidney Lumet, and we of course got to do Prince of the City.
Yeah, I actually really like Sydney Lumet.
I
Um,
know he's
I
really amazing.
I
Um,
uh I watched a few of his movies just recently. Did he did Dog Day Afternoon, if I'm correct,
mhm.
right? And he did what's the other Al Pacino movie I was thinking of? Uh
Uh,
Serpico? Did you do
yes,
Serpico? Yeah.
yes, yes.
So I've
That's
seen both
yeah.
and fucking love both of those movies. And then I saw Prince of the City, and I was like, I yeah, I get his, thanks. I like him, you know.
Yeah, I like his aesthetic quite a
He's
lot.
really good. He's a really
Yeah.
good director. So
And very similar to Woody Allen, he's got that very New York kind of flavor to him,
totally
that keeps
forgot about
you.
Woody Allen. Probably going to be on the list at some point.
Oh,
Thank you for
yeah.
reminding me of him. He's
I
not on
know.
my top 20. I don't think he will ever be on my top 20, but just because I don't know. I mean, I think he was great in the beginning, then he kind of petered out later.
Well, and it's weird because, I had to think about that too, because there are directors who started off making great movies, and then as they went on, they kind of went. Whereas you have someone like Robert Eggers, whom I love. He's only made 3 movies, but they're all fabulous movies that I absolutely adore. So he's on my list, but not quite in the top 20 because he
Because you
just hasn't
haven't
got the
seen enough of
track
his. I
record
mean, he
yet.
hasn't made enough.
Right, he hasn't made enough yet.
Right. I kind of view that too, and that's why some of the people are up higher in my list that you would think, why isn't that person lower on your list, right?
Mhm.
And we'll get to that. We'll get to that after we do the top 20,
Sure, 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 sure.
and stuff.
So that was 15. So number 14 for me is Peter Weir. He's probably my favorite Australian
Peter
director
Weir. Yeah,
who's
we've seen something of his on
so many
Criterion.
great films. Gallipoli, I'm pretty sure is the one for
Gallipoli, yeah.
Australia.
I think that
Yeah,
was for Film Freaks.
right, 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 right. But there's like half a dozen that you could do of his that are just absolutely fabulous. Um, the other one that I think Master and Commanders, a lot of fun. A lot of people know that one, and he did a few more Hollywood kind of stuff with Dead Poets Society and Truman Show and Green Card.
I was
But
thinking more of the what was the one with the Witness with didn't
yeah,
he do that?
Witness was really good.
Yeah.
But the one you need to see is Picnic at Hanging Rock. That is just an
It's
amazing
on my
film.
list of things to buy from Criterion for one of the sales,
Mhm,
but there's things that are just like you have lists, of movies or whatever thing.
mhm.
I have a huge list and it just keeps getting
The,
bigger.
the
So
other one that I want to do for Film Freaks is Black Rain, otherwise known as The Last Wave, and that's this really really good film that he did and wrote, and with Richard Chamberlain in it, and it's one of those movies that just gets really really overlooked, but he's just an amazing. Year Living Dangerously, that was another really really good one that he did. So he's another guy that just has a track record of just making amazing films.
there you go.
So he's 14. 13, a guy I know that you know that I like, Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
love Paul P.T. Anderson. Yeah,
yeah,
he's
he's
great.
absolutely fabulous. He has made some of my favorite movies of all time.
We did Boogie Nights together. I remember that.
Exactly,
For Film
exactly.
Freaks. That was great doing it after actually living in Van Nuys, and it taking place there. It was kind of cool,
Hmm.
you know. It's a great movie. And like Magnolia, a lot of people love that movie. I think
I
it's
love
okay.
Magnolia.
I need to
Yeah,
rewatch it because I think when I first watched it, I think I just felt it was too long.
and
And
as a musical, I can't stand musicals, but I love that.
the musical stuff felt sort of weird, but like in that Paul Thomas Anderson way,
Yeah.
like
Well, and it
it's
was
sort of
Amy Mann, and I love Amy Mann.
yeah.
But then, of course, the other "There Will Be Blood" is a masterpiece of a film, and I recommend everybody to watch that one too. That's
Daniel Day-Lewis.
absolutely, oh, what a performance of the decade. So he's my number 13. So going to number 12 is an oldie but a goodie, Sergio Leone.
So yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly,
Uh-huh, among others. I mean,
among others. Yes, among
yeah, he has done just all kinds of stuff, and he was a writer too, which a lot of people forget that he did that as well.
well, everybody forgets Dario Argento was a writer too. He
Exactly,
did a lot of
exactly.
writing before he became like the filmmaker that
Same
he
thing
is.
with
So.
John Sayles, you
hmm
know.
Oh,
But yeah,
actually, I just found that out. So I was watching a video from Films by Color, and a guy who I'm gonna eventually get on the show, uh Connor was talking about The Howling. I think it
mm,
was The Howling. Yeah, is I right, but which was written by John, was that the one written by John Sayles? I think John Sayles wrote.
Yeah.
He did. No, Alligator. Alligator
Oh,
is what
Alligator.
he.
Okay.
Alligator he wrote, and he also wrote Piranha.
Hmm.
And I don't know if he did. I don't think he did the Howling. No, he did do the Howling. He did that with with Joe Dante, and they both worked on that before he made sh- hold on, this one that we did for Criterion already. You know,
Matewan. Yeah, I love
yeah.
Matewan. It's one of my favorite movies. But getting back to Sergio Leone, I mean, he's only directed like 9 or 10 movies, but the fact is, he pretty much invented the spaghetti western. I mean, it was the round, but not it wasn't celebrated because he elevated it to a new level. So, Fistful of Dollars, A Few Dollars More, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and then of course he did the great Once Upon a Time in the West, and then he
Mm.
did the very underrated Once Upon a Time in America,
I
which,
own that.
well, that's a
Yeah.
great movie, and I think people didn't like it because at that time that it came out, they just thought it was too long. And I know it went through several different cuts, but it's a
I
really
think
good movie
what
too.
I didn't like originally when I first saw it was uh who's the lead in that? Like it's not Henry Fonda.
Uh, which one? Once Time in America or Once Time in the
Once
West?
Upon a Time in America. So I
Oh yeah,
watched that, and that had Henry Fonda, right, as the lead.
no, no, that's the one with Robert De Niro, James Woods.
Oh, I was talking about What's the Time in the West.
Yeah,
And
Once a Time in the West.
yeah,
That's
he
the other
also
one.
did, if I'm
Yeah.
correct. And the problem with that movie, I thought, was like it was more like about the bad guy, right? It was more about the bad guy being the hero of the story, which I mean, guess didn't really happen a lot back then, especially,
No,
which is
definitely
kind of
not.
a cool thing. But in the same sense, I kind of didn't like it. Like I didn't like him,
Well,
you
and it
know?
was cool because Henry Fonda never did that. I mean, Henry Fonda was always the good guy, you know.
Right.
And then Charles Bronson's in there, and Jason Robards is in there, and Jack Elam is in there, Keenan Wynn, Claudia Cardinale. It's a great film,
Yeah.
and he's also another guy that just his the visuals, and he invented that whole swirling camera style that is famous in uh, uh, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which we are going to do for Film Freaks. Trust me, we're going to
Now,
do.
I'm not a big Western fan,
I,
but I'll
I
watch it
know, but
if it's something
it's
you.
it's a magnificent film, and that's what I said. He elevates the western so that it's something more than that, and that's why he's in my top 20. So he's sitting there at 12. And speak of the devil, number 11 is the Woody man himself, Woody Allen.
Woody
And
Allen.
and yes, his track record of films in the last decade or so have been kind of meh overall, but he had so many really good movies that were just amazing early
I mean,
on
he
and
did
in the
like
middle of his
20
career.
great movies before,
Oh yeah,
before he started to kind of peter out. And a lot of
Manhattan
people
is a
don't have 20 great
masterpiece.
movies in them.
Yeah, Manhattan is a masterpiece and one of the most beautifully shot black and white films you'll ever see.
Annie Hall is a
And Hall's
masterpiece.
fun.
I mean, like just even Rose of Cairo and
Mm.
a couple of his earlier work like that. I mean, some of it's not that great. I didn't like that one where he was the agent or whatever, and and it was like supposed to be kind
Oh,
of mockumentary
bananas,
style. What?
bananas.
No, no, no. He was like an agent, and it was early work, but not Bananas early. It was one where he's an agent, and then later, I saw another movie by like Adam Sandler that was very much in that vein, and I was like, ugh. And it wasn't Take the Money and Run, was it? It was
That's his first movie.
no.
Talking about Casino
Um,
Royale,
it might have been that one.
because
Uh,
he was
no,
sort of.
Was it Broadway Danny Rose? Nope, that wasn't it.
Mm.
I swear to God, I maybe it was. You know what? It might have been the first one, the one you said was his first movie, which
Take the Money
uh
and Run.
Take the Money and Run. No, it's not. That's his bank robber. Was it one where he played a
Casino
agent?
Royale is the only one I know of where he played an agent, like a secret agent.
No, no, no. Agent, talent agent.
Oh, a talent agent. Purple Rose of Cairo
No, no, no.
or Broadway Danny Rose.
No, I don't think that was it. Maybe it was Broadway Danny Rose.
or could have
That
been
name
Zelig.
sounds very familiar. Hold on. Oh, Zelig? Was that
Yeah,
it?
Zelig.
Zelig, yes. Nope, nope, that's not it. It's not it. I swear to God. Broadway Danny Rose. Uh, Yep, that's it. In his attempt to reconcile a lounge singer with his mistress, hapless talent agent is mistaken as her lover by a jealous gangster. Sounds
Mm.
that right there made it sound so much better than when I watched it. And I was like, I do not find this funny at all and kind of annoying, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes he can do great stuff, and then maybe I like a lot of these movies I have to watch more than once because
Oh yeah.
first time I watch it, I might not have been in the mood.
Well, there are a number of movies that I would love to do on Film Freaks, but the one I think to start off with, if you haven't watched a lot of Woody Allen, is Sleeper. That's probably the one that most people love as far as his comedies go. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's a. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's a classic Woody
So
Allen
do you want to
comedy.
get to 10 or do you want to wait to do 10 to 1 or do you want to?
Well, that's 11 for me.
That's
So
11.
I think you should do your 20 to
Yeah,
11.
20 to 11. Okay. It's my 20 to 11. All right, here we go. Number 20 is somebody you haven't said yet and you might be saying, but you probably might be saying for another one, which is Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh yeah,
Um, so I really love The Godfather. I think Godfather is amazing. Apocalypse Now. Um, some of his like earlier work, like once again, another director who sort of after a while, I haven't really been seeing anything that I'm interested in of his or whatever, but his earlier work like speaks for itself of like he was talented, you know, and
sure.
great. I kind of wish he would do one more really, really amazing movie just to kind of like Tarantino's ending his career with something, you know, that
And the cool thing I like about him is that he was in that group of directors, like with Spielberg and Lucas and William Friedkin, that all kind of came and sort of revitalized American cinema and Hollywood, and actually made some really great stuff before they all kind of, did the corporate thing.
Lucas will be on my top 100 probably, but he's only made two or three, no, only directed two movies that I think are actually pretty decent. The rest haven't been and mostly he just produces. So,
Yeah,
you know,
he doesn't
um,
even make my
American
100.
Graffiti is a great movie, but and so is Star Wars, the original Star Wars, A New Hope, but everything else, you know, any of the prequels and stuff, I would never count that as talented. All right, number 19 is Eli Roth, which I don't think will ever be on your list, but I fucking love this man. When I first saw Cabin Fever, I remember I worked at Busch Gardens at the time, you know, and I had a friend who worked there with me, and she was like, hey, there's this movie called Cabin Fever. I watched it and it grossed me out and I will never watch that, whatever. And I was like, I gotta see this movie. You know, she was trying to tell me not to watch it basically, and that only made me want to watch it more. So
Mhm.
I love that movie. I
Yeah,
love Hostel. I love Green
Hostel.
Inferno. That dude is very talented. I even like Death Wish. I think it should have been better, but like I still think it was pretty decent. And I just think he's mega talented and doesn't get the respect I feel like he deserves because he's sort of that indie director who sort of became friends with Tarantino and then
Mm.
like his life kind of blew up like easy
I
got
mean,
easier.
he's definitely talented. I just don't quite enjoy some of these movies. The torture porn aspect of it. I mean, he's not a torture porn
No,
director,
I mean
but
he
there's
kind of with
definitely a,
Hostel and Hostel 2,
yeah.
those were torture porn movies,
In
you
Green
know.
Inferno too. That's got some of that in there.
Yeah.
So
I really enjoy him. I think he's a great director and I think like I said, I don't think like once again this goes back to the reason why this list for me as opposed to
Mm.
you. We're kind of doing it differently for
Sure.
what our top 20s are. But for me, it's like movies, comfort movies, and like movies like my top 20 are the people I would go to if I want to pick a
You're
movie to make me
comforted
happy.
by Cabin Fever and
Yeah,
the
like
Green Inferno and
I don't know. I don't
Hostel.
know what it is, but like Cabin Fever also starred Ryder Strong from Boy Meets World. So it's a lot of my, it's me. Like it's a
So there's
personal thing.
nostalgia
There's a
in
lot of
there.
nostalgia to me. It's a lot of
Okay,
things like
that
connected to
makes
me.
sense.
And for you, it wouldn't be because you didn't grow up on Boy Meets World. You didn't grow up on even Eli Roth didn't, and he cast Ryder because Ryder's a good actor. He doesn't act anymore, but he should because he's really good. All right. That's my number 19. My number 18, another director I don't think is going to be on your list. I think there's going to be a theme of that, throughout that
Oh
a
yeah,
lot
well,
of
we're
my,
different people.
yeah, we're different people. So there's going to be people that, you might not feel the same way about. Number 18 is Cameron Crowe,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
who Jerry Maguire, Almost Famous, Vanilla Sky, he wrote um Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I mean, he is a talent singles. I mean, this dude has made so many great movies. Don't count Aloha. I'm sorry. No, it's a movie that gets shunned a lot because like there was problems with it, but and I don't have to go into that.
We bought a
But
zoo.
yeah, We Bought a Zoo wasn't the greatest, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was cute. It was something I could watch with my family, and so I feel like a lot of times, if that's the case, that's also a comfort thing. If I can watch this with my family, have a
Mm.
good time watching it, it's something that is on my top 20. So
I
Cameron
I
Crowe,
like I like Say Anything.
Say Anything. I forgot to even mention that. That's his like first big one that launched his
Mhm.
career, and I totally forgot that because I think of Almost Famous as like my favorite of his movies and stuff. And one of my roommates and I, when I was living in Louisiana, we bonded over that. That's how we became really close friends. As you see on stuff that Cameron Crowe was like one of my favorite directors. So
And
I,
he wrote Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So
yeah, he did that when he was like 18.
mhm.
Like that's fucking like actually younger, I
And
think.
that's not only is it as a movie that I love, that's like the target movie of my generation. That's like the founding Gen X film, So yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So Cameron Crowe up there. So number 17, somebody who might be on one of your at least top 100, I'm sure, was Martin Scorsese. Who I really love Goodfellas. I really love his older stuff, Raging Bull, and tons of great movies. I'm the Departed. I mean, the dude has. I don't even need. I could just say Martin Scorsese, and people think of their favorite movies of his.
Oh
King of
yeah.
Comedy is like one of my favorite of his. He did what's Cape Fear, the remake, but such a great director. I can't say he doesn't get enough credit because he gets like a lot of credit.
Mm.
Some people may even call him overrated. I don't. I think he's
No,
wonderful.
no,
He's
definitely not.
definitely he's not underrated. I think he's just rated well. People know he's very talented and he's very good. And even I haven't seen The Irishman yet.
Oh, it's a great film.
You know, no, it's on Netflix. I just haven't watched it yet. And I'm gonna buy it eventually on Criterion, but it hasn't happened yet. So I'm a fan, but I'm not like a huge fan. Like I'm not somebody who goes to, Martin Scorsese nights, or something. But
I would. I'm a big fan. He's definitely in my top 10.
okay, good. All right, good to know. All right, so I knew like some of these we would cross over. Robert Rodriguez is my what is that? Number 16. Um,
El Mariachi.
El Mariachi, Desperado, From Dusk Till Dawn. See, Spy Kids movies are fun. They're goofy and silly if you kind of like that. I don't like the fact that he sort of decided, I mean, it's cute, but not for Hollywood. It's cute for Brett Kelly to do it, where he fights his kids to write the movies with them. That's nice. when you do it in Hollywood, it gets a little like it feels like a movie written by kids. You know what I mean? And stuff, but directed by Robert Rodriguez. He's still a great director when he does that stuff. It's just and I never said he was a great writer. He usually has other people write, stuff like The Faculty, he had Kevin Williamson write. I mean, just he's done so many great movies. And I love him as a director. And so once again, another comfort guy, another person I
Hmm.
could turn on his movie in a second and know I'll be transported to a time where I feel good. So there you go. All right. So number 15, another guy I pretty darn sure won't even be on your top 100, but is on mine, which is Judd Apatow. And I say that because
Right.
you don't like his comedies generally.
Nope.
That's what he does. He does comedies, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, This Is 40, Funny People, um, a train wreck with Amy Schumer. I mean, he's he just did just he just keeps making movies, and not only that, he's a great producer too, but his directing stuff, like when I first saw 40-Year-Old Virgin, I just like I was like, this feels like the kind of comedy that I would want to make, and stuff like that. So Judd Apatow is high up on my list. Once again, not a person you're a fan of because that's not your style of comedy or whatever,
Yeah, I
you
can't think
know.
of a single thing of his that I enjoyed that I've seen, which isn't much.
Yeah, so there you go. I would work with them in a second if he were like, Jonathan, can you come on and work on my whatever he wanted me to do, I would do it because I absolutely adore the guy as a producer and a filmmaker. And I would, watch anything he puts out. I still do. I will seek stuff out. In fact, I bought a bunch of Judd Apatow movies for my collection because I just really, really like them. So, and I want them all on Blu-ray. So,
Fair
there you
enough.
go. All right. So, number 14, fantastic director. You probably agree with me on this one, is Edgar Wright.
Oh yeah.
Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. He did the Scott Pilgrim versus the World. He's done Baby Driver, ton of great movies, and he just continues to make great movies. Last Night in Soho, fantastic movie. Very well directed, and he is if there's anything, because like Judd Apatow is a great director for comedy for that specific, you know what I mean? Like gets that.
Mhm.
But if you put like Edgar Wright directing a Judd Apatow movie, it would be sleek, fast, every shot edited like quickly, it would be a completely different movie, which is fine.
Mhm.
So I love it. And I think it's great. And yeah, he's up there as
Yeah,
one of my
I
top.
Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz are both very funny films. I like them.
Have you seen Scott Pilgrim?
No,
Yeah, I think you might like it. It's
no.
goofy. It's goofy and silly. We might have to do that for Film Freaks sometime. I think you'd actually like it a lot more than you think. You know.
Teenager, isn't it?
I know, but it's silly. It's a lot of fun and it's
Mm.
funny. Like, and it's got a great cast. So it's phenomenal. Aubrey Plaza's in it. You gotta watch it.
Oh, I love Aubrey Plaza.
I know, she's in it, so you gotta watch
I'll
it.
watch anything with Aubrey
You
Plaza.
see? That's how I'm gonna get you to watch the movie because Aubrey Plaza's in it and she's fucking hilarious. So there you go. Um, next on my list is number 13 is Sam Raimi,
Hmm.
who I once again another director who I absolutely love for his direction, not just necessarily because he's made like good movies, which he does, but because he directs really well. Like even if it's the shittiest movie, like written movie on earth, it'll look good. When Sam Raimi does it. He hasn't done that. He usually makes movies that I'm sure he is happy with, or whatever. Simple Plan, The Quick and the Dead,
Hmm.
Evil Dead movies, stuff. So
I
I just love them.
I dig him. For some reason, there are a couple movies of his that I just did not like. even though there's also a couple of movies of him that I absolutely love. So it's kind of a weird for me. So he's in my
What's the
fifth.
ones you didn't like?
I really didn't like Darkman, and I don't know why.
I liked it. I thought it
I
was a
was,
lot of fun.
I saw it in the theater, and I felt very cold and very like blah. I just did not like it. And then I didn't like Drag Me to Hell. That was another
I
one
love that movie. I
that,
love that. That was
that just
when
didn't
I
get.
first saw that movie, it blew me away because I was like, this is how you do a demon movie or whatever, like without doing it like Evil Dead, you know? It wasn't
Yeah, I
exactly
guess
like
I
that.
thought it was just too over the top and too dark or
That's what
something.
I wanted.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
kind of want in my Sam
But
Raimi stuff.
on the other hand, of course, I love the Evil Dead stuff, all of it. And I don't know if you ever saw The Gift.
Yeah,
What a
fantastic.
great movie that is. I love that movie the
A gift
best.
to us all because it had Katie Holmes naked, you know. It was a gift to us all,
There you
you
go.
know. But sadly it was her dead body that we saw naked, you know, so it wasn't really hot, but it was like, okay, there you go, you know. Anyway, I love Sam Raimi. Think he's one of the best directors that I particularly love. Like he's kind of a director that I once again like Edgar Wright does like shot and edits and he can do swooping stuff and he just from the first Evil Dead the way
Oh
he
yeah,
did the camera work amazing. People weren't doing stuff like that really.
right.
So yeah. Um so there you
What
go.
about Ted? Ted.
What? Ted
So what
Raimi? What
about
about Ted Raimi? I
yes?
met him and Sam, and
Nice.
Ted's. I wish I could have talked to Ted longer. He had a sort of had a line, and so I couldn't really bother him. But he was nice, you know, and he was right next. He was so lucky. You know who his person was? Serena Vincent was like right next to him.
Oh
I was
wow.
like, oh, yeah. All right. Anyway.
Someone's in my fruit cellar.
All right, number 12, another person I don't think is going to be on your but it's kind of got a theme here. I didn't even realize this. A theme of directors who are just really good at like shots and doing camera work and everything. James Wan. I know you're not a big fan of Saw because it's a torture porn movie and stuff, but like his stuff like The Conjuring and Insidious and
Hmm.
even I saw some of Furious 7, the Fast and Furious movie, and I was like, this just I mean, already from the second, it felt James Wan-y. Like there are certain things that James Wan does.
Money.
Yeah, Wan-y. He does things that are so good. He is such a good director. I would put Lee Winnell up there too, because Lee's doing really good, his counterpart, but he hasn't made enough movies yet. Just like you said, for some directors, you can't put them on the list because they've only made like 3 movies or whatever.
Hmm.
That's kind of the same thing here. Is like I can't really put him on the list yet because he just hasn't done it. But the stuff I've seen of him so far, I can't wait for more because he's going to keep blowing me away.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. He even though I'm not a big fan of the some of his movies, I do get it from a technical standpoint. He definitely has a vision that he establishes in his films, and I'm always a big fan of that. And even Saw, while it is technically kind of, I guess, torture porn, it's not as bad as some of the other ones that I've seen. And Insidious was pretty interesting, and he's definitely got some good stuff. He's in my top 100.
Yeah. And he's so he we're doing a whole like James Wanathon, that's what we're calling it.
Wadathon.
Yeah, for horror film lovers, John Ward and I, and we watched Malignant. And that movie is basket case on crack. If you haven't
Nice.
seen that movie, you would love it. It's giallo, so it's got all the reds and everything like that, but it is fucking nuts. And
I
it
haven't
is
seen it, but I'd like to see it. I will see it at some point. I'm
I
not
will
seeing
probably
Aquaman.
I'll buy it at some point and let you borrow it, and then
I'm
you
not
can
watching
decide.
Aquaman.
Oh well, you know, Aquaman is not your cup of tea, but that's fine. I own Aquaman, but a lot of these movies also I own not just because they're part of that collection of DC
Mhm.
movies or something, but because James Wan is direct. You know, like Hollywood
Sure, sure.
notices how James Wan
And
is a great director.
he did the follow-ups to both The Conjuring and Insidious, right? He did the
Yeah, he did part two of
part
both.
twos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
But he
thought.
didn't do part threes of either of them, you know, and stuff. He stopped at two for both of them, but he is just a fantastic director, and I wish that like more people could see, he also produces great stuff. So he finds
Mhm.
really talented people, and he's just somebody I really look up to. So
Yeah,
James Wan is up there.
he produced Megan, I think.
Yes, produced Megan, which we're going to be reviewing for Horror Film Lovers. All right. So number 11, a director that you would think would be more on my top 10, but is on my 11, is number 11. He's not didn't quite make it. And I tried to like see what, whatever. But is Tim Burton, who I adore. Ed Wood is my favorite movie of all time. So you would think, oh, Tim Burton would be nope. Because Ed Wood, Beetlejuice, the original Batman and Batman Returns, and maybe a few others, Edward Scissorhands, and a couple other things like that. I love, but like stuff like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, not really big fan of,
Yeah.
and some of his newer stuff, he's kind of gotten weaker, as far as I'm concerned.
Dark
Like
Shadows,
Dark Shadows. I own all
Dumbo.
of them because I will collect all Tim Burton movies and stuff. I'm a completist. If I like something, I will complete all of them if I can. But
Mm.
he's not necessarily, it's not something I'm going to be like, I'm going to put on Dark Shadows today. It is not a comfort movie. I think he's got, I mean, it's a Tim Burton movie when you see it.
Oh yeah,
He's
he
got a
does have
style.
his style.
He's got a style, he's got a look, but it's just and so he's on my top 11 because because he's so talented and so wonderful, especially his earlier work. Mars Attacks, everybody loves. I don't I think it's okay, like
Yeah,
it
it's kind
never
of
it never never made me a huge fan. So I don't know. He's one of those directors. I think he's very cool, but just not everything he's done is my favorite. So anyway,
sure.
I put that up there. So uh number 11. So you're down to your 10 to 1.
Okay. So number 10 is one of my favorite directors and writers is John Sayles.
Okay.
And we touched on that. So Eight Men Out and Lone Star, which we're going to do on Film Freaks at some point. And let's see, gosh, what else?
Mate
Mate One,
One.
which we've already done. Yeah. And he's just a great, great director and writer. And he's very, 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 very independent, which I totally appreciate. And he's just a really, really good and one of my favorite uh, artists that I admire too. So
Mhm.
he's pretty darn amazing if you ask me, and doesn't get quite the respect that
He
he
has no
deserves.
respect, no respect at all. That was
So,
my worst Rodney Dangerfield impression.
oh yeah. For you kids out there, Rodney Dangerfield was a guy. He was a funny guy.
He was a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So
everybody, he was a comedian. Come on, man. Don't
there you
just say call
go.
him a guy. He's one of the greatest
Um,
comedians.
then going into number 9 is a guy that is definitely on my list, but probably not going to be on your list at all, and that is Bill Forsyth, the
Yeah, I've
Scottish
only
director.
seen I've only seen a local hero of his, so I haven't
Oh yeah,
really.
and that's his best film. But the big trilogy that you need to see is Gregory's Girl, Comfort and Joy, and Local Hero. Those three movies back to back to back just blew me away. They're three of my favorite films
Are
of
they
all
are they
time.
comfort movies for you? Like you can put them on and
Oh,
just make you
definitely,
feel good anytime you
absolutely,
see
all
it?
three of
Okay,
them.
cool.
Yeah. So that's nostalgia for me, especially because that's all early to mid 80s and that's sort of like my period for me. And yeah, but again, all three were movies and to me that those movies are the kind of comedy that I like. Very subtle and very smart and
See, that's interesting because even though he's not on my top 10, yeah, he's not going to be. But like John Hughes is more of like what I would say for 80s and stuff, and you would be like, nah, like Bill Forsyth is more
yeah,
your
yeah.
80s kind of thing.
And it's a shame because he could have been so much bigger, but he went to Hollywood and he did a couple of Hollywoodish films and he did not like that at all because there was again the producers and the studios were trying to make him do stuff that he didn't like, that he wasn't it wasn't part of his films. And he was like, did you not see the movies that I make? This is how I approach it. And they said, well, this is how we want to make it. And he just did not have a very good experience. So he should have been making more films than he actually did, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So
I mean the studios have not gotten better either
mm,
with stuff because I know a lot, even like Disney and whatnot, people like butt heads all the time because they want to do something different than what the studios want. And the studios are going to win because they're the ones with the
mm.
money. So
So
Bill,
unless you've got like a big name, you're going to lose that.
yeah, Tarantino or the Coen brothers or somebody like that, they don't turn. Was it you said him earlier? Ridley Scott, I don't think people question him.
Right.
They just let him do what he's going to do and stuff. And so but like, people, some of the people studios interfere with because, the studios maybe not trust what they're doing.
And
They,
I don't know whether you saw, but it is the 40th anniversary for the release of Local Hero, and I think they're doing a bunch of stuff for that. So I don't know, maybe they'll put out a special edition or something. I don't know. I kind of hope so. But having shown you that one, I also need to show you Gregory's Girl and Comfort and Joy. They're both just such amazing, amazing, funny movies. You will have to suffer through the thick Scottish accents, but once you get past that, we put closed captions on there. You'll be fine.
all right. Well, do you
Great
have
stuff.
them on Blu-ray or?
No, they weren't put out on Blu-ray. So eventually, I'm going to have to get them either from
I'm
overseas or
hoping
something.
that I'm hoping that they get put out
Hmm.
on Criterion at some point because they
Yeah,
have Local
they
Hero. Why,
need to be. The Build
I'm
Force,
sure at some point they will.
the Build Forsyth
Criterion
trilogy.
just keeps going and keeps going every month. So,
Sure.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It might
No.
not be like this year or next, but eventually.
All right, so nestling in at number 8 for me is The Man, Orson Welles.
It's not on my list.
Not on
And
your
it's only
list. Oh my
not
God.
yet, not
Ooh.
yet, because I've only seen Citizen Kane.
Oh
Like
yeah,
that's it.
that's
I haven't even seen The Third Man
oh great film.
or what was the other one? Touch of Evil.
Touch of Evil,
I've never
great
seen
film.
these. I want to, and
Oh yeah.
so I'm gonna mention it here on Blu-ray Hunter because the Blu-ray Hunter channel is more about physical media itself and about Blu-rays, right, and everything.
Mhm.
And I am planning to buy a bunch of classics. Now, I've mentioned this earlier on like my updates and stuff that I'm doing the AFI movies and kind of reviewing all of them, and that's going to take like 2 years from 2024 to 2025, but I'm going to do those. But and I'm going to buy all 100 movies. Of some I already have, but like some I don't. And so French Connection was one I didn't have, so I had to buy that. But the thing was, I want to go this year. A lot of my focus is going to be on classics,
Mhm.
classic movies I have not seen that I need to watch, whether it be on Blu-ray or whether it be
Well,
on
I got a
streaming.
bunch of them, so
I know.
we can
And
definitely
I'm down if you want to put some on Film Freaks. Let's
yeah.
do it,
Yeah, yeah.
because I'm down to
Magnificent
watch them.
Ambersons are really, really good. I
I
love
have Magnificent
his
Ambersons on Blu-ray on Criterion, but I
I
just haven't
love
watched
his
it yet.
version of Macbeth. That's one of my absolute favorites.
I need to buy Touch of Evil. That's what I need. I want to
Yeah,
have
Touch
that
of Evil is
next.
really good.
Yeah.
I
So I
also
love all of these movies, but I mean I love I love Citizen Kane and rewatching it for
mhm.
Criterion Watch and watching it with you and Jolene. Best experience. Like I mean I had a fun time. It was really well done, and I but he's just like so far I have not seen enough of films by him that I can say
Well, I'll have to show you Macbeth and Othello. They're two of my favorite Shakespearean adaptations that he made that are just amazing.
there you
So
go. Maybe we'll do a we'll do a was a back-to-back double feature of Orson Welles' Macbeth and Roman Polanski's Macbeth. And
oh yeah,
I haven't
Polanski
seen
he did
either
his
of
own
those.
thing. I know, yeah.
I have seen enough. I've seen a couple of Roman Polanski's, but not. I haven't seen like I've only seen Rosemary's Baby and I saw Chinatown,
I was
but
about to
like
say you
not all of
had to
it.
have seen
But
Chinatown. That's
not all of
great.
it, I don't think. I
Oh
think I
wow.
turned it off after a while because kind of like when I was young, I got bored very my you think my attention span now is bad? Imagine me when I was like in my teens. Like
Mm,
I could not watch a movie at all unless it was like quick to the point. And
yeah.
now it's kind of getting better and better. Like literally, I would have turned off two lane a black top had it been when I was in my teens because it is starts out a little slow, but then I started noticing it went really quick because I look at the time and like shit that like time really went by quickly. So it's one of those things. So anyway,
All right. Moving on to number seven is a guy who is extremely prolific, won a lot of Academy Awards, and was definitely a Hollywood director, but also managed to sort of have his own style, even though he pretty much did just about every kind of movie you can think of, and that's Michael Kurtz,
oh
uh,
yeah,
who's of course Casablanca
Casablanca.
is his big thing, but you go back in his films and starting with Bright Lights and River's Edge and Dr. X and getting into some of my favorite movies. I really loved Captain Blood. That's like one of my favorite movies
Is
from
that a
the
pirate
30s.
movie?
Yeah, swashbuckling movie.
Swashbuckler, yeah,
That's a
like
great
Errol
film.
Flynn type.
The Charge of the Light Brigade is one of the movies I've loved since I was a child. That's a fantastic adventure movie. Um, it's he did the Adventures of Robin Hood, Angels with Dirty Faces, Sons of Liberty, Daughters Courage. He did all kinds of the Seahawk. He ended up doing another Errol Flynn movie, the Santa Fe
Yeah,
Trail,
that's
Wolf,
on. Wait, where was that on? Because it was Seahawk and was the other C something? These are like I
Wolf.
think Kino releases and stuff. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying. I'm gonna eventually buy all these Kino movies and stuff too,
Mm-hmm.
and everything because Kino releases some damn good movies.
Now, I will say there are a couple of movies his that I cannot stand, but they are mostly because they are products of their period, and that's some of the World War II, propaganda movies that he made.
Mm.
Yankee Doodle, fucking dandy, and This Was
That's
the
gonna be on my
Army.
AFI. I have to buy
Oh
that.
my God,
You know.
especially Yankee Doodle because it's got fucking Jimmy Cagney, who I think is the most overrated overactor in the history of film. I can't stand the
I
man.
love him as a gangster, though. I don't know. I
Can't
can't hate on.
stand him for
Can't hate
anything.
on Cagney.
Can't stand on him. But Mildred Pierce is another really good movie that people don't
Yeah,
know
and
much
that's
about.
on
The noir.
4K on
Uh huh.
Criterion, so I want to get that.
Yeah. So he's done just a ton of stuff, and overall, you gotta love just the fact that he can make so many movies and have such a high level of competence. And he's another one that if you start to notice, he definitely has a visual style his own and his own way of telling a story. So good stuff there.
Good.
Number six for me is a guy we've already touched on, and that is Francis Ford Coppola.
There you
Uh,
go.
Definitely one of my favorite uh, directors, of course, for mostly Apocalypse Now. I just,
Woo! That.
much I love the
Do you own
Godfather
this yet? Do
films.
you own this 4K yet?
Not yet. I'm
You
dying to.
got to get it because it's. I did it for I guess this will be coming up. So get ready. Spoiler alert for future content, everybody. But I did a showcase for it, talking about it on Blu-ray Hunter and on this channel. And I loved it because it's got every cut of the movie. So it's
Nice.
got
Yeah.
nine discs, I think, or something, or six discs. Six discs. Okay, yeah, six discs. And it's like, got the 4Ks of everything and then the
Mm.
Blu-rays of everything and then it's got Hearts of Darkness, so it's got all that
Hearts
stuff.
of
So
Darkness is great.
fucking best one of the, once again a Docs That Rock.
Rocks that Rock, absolutely. He's
Oh,
definitely
there you
on
go.
my list. But he did more than that. I mean, obviously the Godfathers are absolute epic films, probably two of the best American movies ever made. But I also like some of his early stuff. Like I like Dementia 13. That was a really cool, interesting little indie film that most people don't know about. And then The Conversation was very interesting. I liked The Outsiders. I
Oh,
love The
Outsiders, I
Cotton Club.
forgot to mention Outsiders is one of my favorites too.
Yeah. The Cotton Club. I don't know why people were so down on the Cotton Club when that came out. I
I
love that movie.
it just didn't do well, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, Peggy Sue Got Married, a movie the kind of movie that I never would have thought I would have liked. I liked it just
Hmm.
because Coppola had this way about him, and Tucker was a underlooked or underappreciated film, and even Godfather 3. I know people love to hate on that film, and yeah, it wasn't up to the level of Godfather 1 and Godfather 2, but it was still a pretty damn good movie overall.
Yeah.
Dracula was kind of strange, but I did like it overall.
Bram Stoker's Dracula is a classic.
Mhm. And then after that, yeah, he I doesn't
Kind of petered out after
eat it out.
I think it was after literally after Dracula. Like he
Mhm.
kind of didn't he do that Jack movie, if I'm
Well,
correct?
he started to go more into things like restoring films and doing other stuff and producing, and he was assisting his daughter Sophia Coppola, who's also really really good.
Yeah,
She's
she's
not
on
quite
my top like 50,
yeah, she's in my
filmmakers.
50, I believe.
Oh yeah, he did that Jack movie where like Robin Williams got older or something or whatever, or
I
like
never
or
saw it.
young. Yeah, it was so weird. It was such a weird little movie, but I remember seeing it in the theater because Mrs. Doubtfire had been one of my favorites, so I became like into Robin Williams and stuff, and then yeah, he was great. So there you
Mhm.
go.
So that's number 6. So now we're getting into my top 5. Okay,
Ooh, top five.
top 5.
I'm ready for this.
And starting off top 5 is a guy whose movies I just think are some of the most beautiful, heartbreaking, amazing movies I have ever seen, and that's Guillermo del Toro. I
He's
I
on my top 50.
I can't
I haven't
say
watched
enough
enough of his
things.
movies, and and I need to. But we watched Devil's Backbone, and I
What a great
have
film.
the trilogy with Kronos and Pan's Labyrinth. I
Mhm.
just haven't really dived into them yet. And once again, that's another thing that I'm doing this year. Remember, I said I'm going to watch all my Criterions, so they are on my list of movies I'm going to end up watching. It's just it hasn't happened yet, which it will.
It's great stuff. I love The Devil's Backbone. Kronos is really good. Mimic, even though he never got to make the mimic that he wanted, and he's another one that had this. The studio had to come in and change the
Originally, now
wording.
they leave him alone,
Yeah, now they
I
do.
think.
But even that movie, there are definitely pieces of that are really, really, really cool. I liked Hellboys. I love those movies, and of course, Pan's Labyrinth to me is the greatest film to have come out in the last 25 years, in my opinion. It is one of the most beautiful and sad movies you will ever see in
Let me
your
know when you want to do it for Criterion
life.
Watch because I have it. Yeah, I know you don't have it yet or something because you don't have that. I don't think you do you?
Criterion? No, not yet.
No. Okay. Well, let me know but you have to let me know ahead of time and I'll
Mm.
bring it, or whatever. I know you like to wait to
I,
surprise me, but
I actually have not seen Shape of Water yet, so I want to check that out.
mhm.
So, Shape of Water?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Like I know of
Yeah.
it. What was is that the
The
mermaid movie
mermaid
or
one, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So at some point, I definitely want to check that out.
I
Um,
heard it was okay. Like it wasn't. It was kind of a hit or miss kind of thing. Like some people really loved it. And I think it won Academy Awards or something, but I don't know.
Most likely, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is number 5, right?
Yep.
Number 4, another one of the great directors of all time, Ingmar Bergman. Just
He'll be on my
amazing.
like either top 50 or top 100. I've seen The Seventh Seal. That's it
Oh,
so
great
far,
film,
and
great film.
I need to see Wild Strawberries and
Yes, yes.
few of his other. I know Wild Strawberries is the movie that that influenced The Last House on the Left and
Mhm.
stuff. So I want to see that stuff, but I just haven't.
It's a very different way of doing it, but yeah, it's really 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 good. The Magician is also really good. Through a Glass Darkly. Hour of the Wolf is very interesting. Let's see. Cries and Whispers is, if you're a Woody Allen fan, Cries and Whispers is definitely something you want to check out. Um,
Okay.
Serpent's Egg,
I know there's a box set on Criterion with every Ingmar Bergman movie,
Fanny and
and I
Alexander. That's another big one. I'm sure Criterion has that one.
thing is, if I buy that, it's only on Blu-ray. If I buy the box set, and Seven Seal just got released on 4K, so I'm like, should I just wait till all of them are on 4K and that they have a box set
I
of
mean,
them
you
on
could.
4K, or
And he's another guy that also is a great writer too. And yeah, Seventh Seal is one of my absolute favorite black and white films. What a beautifully shot,
I saw
beautifully
that and I was just
complex film.
blown away.
Yeah,
I mean, you see the guys, the death doing the chess and stuff. And, uh,
classic.
was it Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey sort of made fun of that, or whatever.
Mhm.
So they were playing chess and then they end up playing all these other games, board games to to keep beating death in all these games. It's kind of a funny parody of that, but
Sure,
like, I enjoyed that, but I didn't get it back then until I watched Seven Seal and I was like, okay, now I get it. And I think once again a funny thing.
right.
But
Good
there you
stuff.
go. So Ingmar Bergman is a perfect example of a great director.
He's number four. Coming in at number three, a guy we've already mentioned, Martin Scorsese.
Yeah,
Just
it's funny because I'm
absolute,
mentioning them later, but
yeah.
yeah, as far as like my top,
One of my
and
absolute favorite directors. Another guy who has a very definite visual style. Another guy like Woody Allen and like Sidney Lumet has a very New York feel to his
Mean
film.
Streets I forgot to mention before is
Means
just fucking
and
good.
but the thing is that even when he's not using New York as the sort of
Backdrop.
as the backdrop, he still is able to do his own thing, and it's just absolutely fabulous. And of course, he went on to do things like Boardwalk Empire and a few other things as
Things he
well.
produced and created and
Yeah,
helped.
yeah. But yeah, he's just amazing. Raging Bull is one of
Raging
my
Bull,
favorite
man,
films.
I've got that
What a great
here. Where
film.
I've got
Um,
that.
Taxi Driver is one of the darkest, hard hitting films you're
Huh,
ever going to see. Um,
Raging Bull.
New York, a movie was really cool and a very different role for Robert De Niro. You definitely, if you haven't seen New York, you got to check that out.
I
Um,
isn't that a musical?
uh, Gosh, it's been so long since I've seen it.
Oh, maybe not.
There's
Maybe
music
I'm
in it
thinking of
because
something.
Robert De Niro's in there, and he's like a saxophone player.
Yeah, it's a musical. Like I remember it. But it's not like I don't think it's like a musical,
Right. Yeah,
whatever. It's like it probably has a few songs. It's kind of
not
like
a
probably
classical.
like Magnolia, where it has a
Right.
little bit of musicalness to it, but it's not. That's not why you watch it.
King of Comedy is really good. After Hours. After Hours is one of my favorite little weird movies that people forget that exists. It's a really good film. Last Temptation of Christ was really good. A movie that I didn't think I was ever going to be too interested in. Of course, Goodfellas is one of the greats. And even Age of Innocence, which I kind of thought was kind of boring, was at least a beautiful film to watch. And I enjoyed, seeing it. Um, Casino was good, and Kundun was good. Gangs in New York was amazing, even though a lot of the history was kind of screwed up. That's okay. I didn't mind it because the acting was so well done,
And
and
Leonardo DiCaprio, man, like
yeah,
fuck, dude, like which goes to show, man, if you work with a certain director, you can skyrocket. Like The Aviator, he worked with Scorsese on that, and
mhm,
that was a fucking great movie. So
it
yeah,
was good. And The Departed was really good.
another
Uh,
yeah,
Wolf of Wall
man, they need
Street was
to they need to
good.
keep working together, man. I like
Um,
DiCaprio, and
I don't know
it,
whether you've seen Silence. That's the movie where he's
I've heard of it. I knew of it. I just hadn't watched
yeah,
it.
that's a great film too. I have that as well.
Once again, another a director that still is doing great.
Yeah. The
Even
Irishman was great. I
you
enjoyed
know,
that so much. So
yeah, he
yeah,
doesn't he doesn't take on bad movies
no,
necessarily. Like
he is prolific. And what I love is that, he is very free in his praise of other directors whom he loves and admires and says, "Oh yeah, I loved Stanley Kubrick. I loved Sidney Lumet. I love taking
He has loved
different
David
things from
Lynch,
there.
he's
Yeah,
talked about
yeah.
him. So, I mean, I think if I'm correct, or well, vice versa, they probably both love each other. That's one of the things I love about some of these filmmakers is when they actually praise other filmmakers and stuff.
Mhm.
I don't like it when they're like, well, I don't like, these certain directors, whatever. So, because
I,
I'm
I,
like,
I want to say that Guillermo del Toro is probably my favorite living director right now, but Martin Scorsese, I think, to me, is the best living director right now.
yeah.
And he's almost up there with this as far as a
Yeah,
favorite.
favorite and best are completely different things,
Right,
just. Um,
right.
all right. So is he number two? Is this your number two?
Number two, who could have been under normal circumstances to just about anybody else, number one, another guy, prolific, who just makes nothing but masterpieces, and that is Akira Kurosawa.
He
We
would be like a
saw,
lot of people's number
oh
ones.
my goodness, it's so many flipping
Once
great
again,
films.
he's on my list, but low, like higher up only he's because I haven't seen enough. Like I saw Seven Samurai with you. I'm finishing up the Hidden Fortress. I need to see all the other ones. I just haven't seen enough. And it's not, once again, it's going to be changed with this year because this year is classics year. A lot of
Mm.
people are doing that too. Like I'm not the only uh Blu-ray enthusiast that's watching classics this year, trying to bone up on that because a lot of times we get asked, like as physical media lovers, what's your, favorite Kurosawa film? And I can't, other than Seven Samurai, I guess I could say that, and that's it. That's all I can say because
Mhm.
that's all I've
Well, it's
seen.
a great introduction, and it's certainly the masterpiece that he's well known for. But Rashomon is a masterpiece. Drunken April
Ron,
is fantastic. Stray Dog is fantastic. Throne of Blood is absolutely fantastic. Hidden Fortress, The Lower Depths, Yojimbo and Sanjuro, High and Low, Kagamusha. He makes nothing but these fantastic, gorgeous films, and I love him because he's one of those directors who will literally wait for 4 days waiting for the precise shot that he wants for
kind of like
for the
Michael
sun to
Cimino,
rise.
you
Yeah,
know.
he wants a certain thing, and he expects a certain level, and he will not proceed until he does it. And he's one of those guys who will edit, right after it's shot. He'll edit during the dailies, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll shoot all day long, and then he'll take his dailies and he'll start editing like right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something most directors do.
Nope.
And he's loves having he's one of those guys that he has total control over his film, and you want him to do that because he has the complete vision for his story
Ex-
and his narrative, and he's got the talent to see it through, and not very many people have that.
There you go. All
So yeah,
right.
there will be a ton of Kurosawa movies that we do for either Criterion Watch or Film Freaks, or God knows, we might do some
Whatever other show
Samurai
we
Sunday
do.
someday.
Yeah, something else. Samurai Sundays. That's funny. I'd I'd be down with that someday. Someday when we're not doing a million other projects,
Sure, sure, sure,
other
sure.
shows. Yeah.
But yeah, he's just amazing. And two of my favorite actors of all time are Toshiro Mifune and oh gosh, why can't I remember his name? Oops. Sorry, is my system? It says my system is down. Is my system
Nope.
down?
You're fine.
You can hear
But
me, see
I
me?
can hear you. Yeah. Can you see me? Can you?
No. Hang on a second.
I can see and hear you perfectly
Oh, okay.
fine.
So what was I saying? I was saying uh
Toshiro Mifune
oh,
and
Toshiro Mifune and oh
let me
gosh,
look them up.
Takashi Shimura.
Okay, Takashi Shimura.
Yeah, and I love the transition from the one to the other and how very, very different they are, and you can
Well,
see it in Seven Samurai. It's just
I loved in Seven Samurai that Toshiro Mifune played kind of buffoonish kind of character or whatever. But in Hidden Fortress, he's the guy, like he's the general. And so it's when I was watching it, the two two goofy characters who are more like, R2D2 with, because George Lucas stole, basically whatever. But like the more goofy characters kind of see Toshiro Mifune, doing his stuff and, hanging out. They're scared of him. They're terrified of this guy and everything. But in the other one, he's a drunken buffoon. So
Yeah.
he's like, he can play these different
Drunken
characters. And
buffoon with a heart of gold.
yeah, but drunken buffoony.
Yeah.
All right.
And of course, number one, I'm sure it's no surprise, Stanley Kubrick, another guy who
Yeah.
just makes nothing but masterpieces and just has a very, very unique style and unique visuals. A guy who, set the standard in just about everything. He started off independent, then he ended up doing some Hollywood stuff, and then he said, "Fuck that! I'm going to go off and do my own thing." And he did, and he's another guy that has total, total, total control of his film, and you want him to, from the music down to the editing, down to, gosh, set design, where he will purposely put things in there to fuck with your sense of continuity and your groundedness, like in The Shining, which is my favorite film of all time. It's just an absolute masterpiece. So many of his films I could just name as absolute masterpieces. They're just about everything he's done, and he is the guy that would inspire me if I ever had any talent or money or something. If I could have been a director, I would have tried to have emulated him, and of course I would have failed miserably. But he's the guy. I mean, Ed Wood was about Orson Welles. I was about Stanley Kubrick, a little bit of Akira Kurosawa too. I have to say they're two of my absolute favorites and my two mentors when it comes to film. And yeah, I can't say enough great, wonderful things. And it's just the world is a much sadder place without those two gentlemen making more films, especially Stanley Kubrick, because he didn't get to make as many films as Kurosawa,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And
He's
and
the
he never dropped off. He really, really didn't.
Interestingly enough, he's the only guy that's actually also on my top 10, from your list of top 10. So it's
Okay.
interesting because I think I have a completely different list than any of the other people that you
That's
have. And
cool.
it's awesome. I love that because I wasn't
Oh,
sure how much of a
yeah.
crossover, but that's great. I love Stanley Kubrick, and we'll talk about him in a little bit, but he's not in my number one like he is yours,
Well, I know who your number one
I think you do, but
is.
we'll get into it in a second because I knew I had a feeling Stanley Kubrick was your number one, so I think I know who you think I know mine is. All right, my number 10. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Terry Gilliam, who we
Oh
did not
yeah, yeah,
mention
yeah.
yet. A great, great, great director, fantastic. We just watched what is the one that me and the first one he did, like the first, like not first one, but the Time Bandits.
Time
But Time
Bandits.
Bandits, I just watched The Fisher King for the first time. I fucking love that.
Oh,
That's
you've never seen that before?
no, I've never seen it before. Once
Oh my
again,
God.
I'm
Yeah.
watching all the, movies that I haven't got a chance to see yet, and that will go on Criterion Watch. When I get Jackie down here, we're doing it with her because she's a huge Robin Williams fan,
I'm
and I know you're not
surprised.
huge on him, but he was great in this, you know.
I'm surprised that because as I recall, you said you didn't like Brazil.
I didn't like Brazil,
Great
but
film.
I love Fisher King. I wasn't a big fan of Brazil. I need to maybe rewatch it, but when I first watched it, I wasn't really a fan of it. I thought it was okay, it just wasn't, my type of maybe my type of movie. I need to see Adventures of Baron Munchausen, which I know was
Oh yeah, that's a
something
lot of fun.
that he had a lot of fun making. Well, he had a lot, but it became a problem in his thing, and he actually talks about how Fisher King was the movie that kind of helped him because of his uh that movie almost killed him doing adventures because it was just too fantastical, too crazy. I saw that years ago when I was a kid and loved it, and so I'm eventually going to get the 4K on Criterion, but just haven't yet. Um, but yeah, I love Terry Gilliam, Monty Python, everything he's ever done. So there you go. My number 10. My number 9, Wes Craven. who
Okay.
I'm just, I'm Scream is the movie that got me back into horror films. Nightmare on Elm Street, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I just rewatched, enjoyed a lot. Obviously, there's a ton of other ones like Swamp Thing and like a whole bunch of other movies. I mean, People Under the Stairs and Shocker and just a lot of movies. So, if you're not familiar with Wes Craven, then I don't know what you're
No,
doing with your life, but you need to
I
get
I
familiar with
do
him.
like him. I tend to prefer his old stuff. So the original Nightmare on Elm Street and Last House on the Left, Hills
Last
Have
House on the
Eyes,
Left and Serpent in the
Swamp
Rainbow and
Thing, Deadly Blessing.
yeah. He's a fantastic director. I love almost everything I've ever seen of his. I've not seen the music like the drama one he did, like the music one or whatever that he
No,
did. But aside from that, I like everything
I'm
else I've seen of his.
I'm
So
definitely not a Scream person. And then there are a couple other things like Vampire in Brooklyn wasn't very good, and
it was a
Shocker wasn't
comedy
very
and it
good.
really tried and it just didn't really work. And
Yeah.
Eddie
And
Murphy and
you
it
know,
just wasn't,
Serpent and the Rainbow was a movie that I really enjoyed, but at the time, I think that got panned a lot too,
hmm
which is a shame because I think that's a better movie than most people remember. It was
hmm
really good, I thought.
All right. So Wes Craven is my number nine. My number eight, to kind of go with the theme of Wes Craven, John Carpenter, who's kind of
Oh yeah.
also kind of viewed in the vein of like Wes Craven type, coming in this 80s, kind of making these really amazing horror films, 70s starting with Halloween, and Assault the Precinct 13 and
Mhm.
all this in dark, I think he did, was it Dark Star or something like that, like his
Yep.
first movie. And then he later went on to do Elvis, which was funny, like Kurt Russell's Elvis. I mean,
Good
right? The
writer too.
Thing. What?
He's a good writer too.
Yeah, he's a great writer. He like I don't like that later in his life he kind of let people just fuck over his Halloween movies by
Yeah.
letting them do what the fuck they wanted and just approving of it. I would have, if I were him, I think he just took paychecks after a while. He kind of dropped off. I wasn't a really big fan of Ghosts of Mars. A lot of people love that movie though, weirdly enough. And so there is a cult following for it.
Oh yeah, he had a string of movies, starting with Halloween, then The Fog, Escape
The
from New York,
Fog
The
we did on
Thing,
Film Freaks. That was our first Film
Starman, Big
Freaks.
Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, They Live. It was
They
like,
Live, I
wow,
mean,
boom, 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 boom.
yes, so they're all came out and they're all fantastic. And
And
you
some of
have,
his later movies are not so great.
yeah, it started, I think, with like Escape from LA. It just
Escape
kind
from
of,
LA was bad. Ghost
yeah,
of
it just kind of
Mars was
went down from there. But
bad.
he just started not really caring as much.
Ward.
From what I understand, he just smokes pot and plays video games all day. So that doesn't
Well,
surprise
he
me.
also lost Deborah Hill, and Deborah Hill helped out in most of the earlier films, and that it was a
Yeah,
shame that she passed away. They
yeah,
were a great combination. He's in my top 50. He didn't quite make the 20, but
okay.
he's definitely up there. Especially the original Halloween, which is a masterpiece, probably one
hmm
of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's and probably one of the greatest independent films ever made. It's
Right.
just an amazing film. I could talk about the direction in that film forever.
All right.
So,
So number seven is somebody who you're probably, I even might be in your top 50, but probably not. You'd be in your top 100, I think, at least, but not maybe your top 50. Is Steven Spielberg, who I absolutely adore. Jaws is the movie that got me into falling in love with him, but E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Always, his earlier work like Empire of the Sun, and all of these amazing movies. And then later, to me, he still makes great movies. I mean, even Terminal with Tom Hanks was great. Saving Private Ryan with Tom Hanks. Like just he's a fantastic director, and so I really, I dig him a lot.
mm,
And he's one of my, part of my childhood. Back to the Future. Amblin Entertainment produced a lot of my favorite movies like Goonies and Back to the Future, Gremlins, all that stuff. He became just a fantastic producer director, and I love him. So He's up there as my number seven. You're
Yeah,
very quiet on that.
I like him less than you do. Yeah, he's in my top 100, but he doesn't crack my top 50, mostly because Jaws and Close Encounters of the Third Kind are both
I
two
think when I
absolute
said those two, I
fantastic
think those are
films.
the ones I knew you actually
Yeah,
liked. Schindler's
and
List, though,
the original
great movie.
Raiders. Yeah, it's a great movie. I always call that movie the greatest movie I never want to see again.
Exactly. So it's a
The
movie that
problem for me is he also is very schmaltzy, and not only to the point where it just bothers me, but I dislike the way he will very obviously emotionally manipulate folks. So there's certain movies that are big that most people love that I didn't care for E.T. Um, I
I
didn't
grew
care
up on it. It's one
for
of my favorite movies because
yeah.
it was,
See, there
you
you
know,
go. It
it,
just wasn't my thing. I didn't really love Jurassic Park. I didn't like Hook. You
yeah,
know,
God, I love those. See, and that's the thing is because those movies were when I was a kid growing up, those were the movies like I could watch,
like
and
Color
everything.
Purple. I didn't really get the buzz behind that. Now, Empire of the Sun. Empire of the Sun, I thought was a good movie. That was one of the darkest movies he's ever done.
Hmm.
And people
Probably the
that's
only dark movie he'll ever really, other than Schindler's List is pretty dark, but
Schindler's List, yeah. But
yeah.
before that, this was like his one movie that most people were like, "Really, Steven Spielberg did that?" But that was a really good film, and I
But that
enjoyed
was
the
even
whole
before he became Steven Spielberg,
right.
like
And
he
I
was.
liked it a lot, and it doesn't get the recognition, in my opinion, that
I think
it
Christian Bale
deserves.
is in that movie, if I
Oh
remember
yeah, he
correctly.
was great in that. And Saving Private Ryan was good. I enjoyed that. I liked AI. I thought he did a decent job
That
with
was a
that.
Stanley Kubrick original,
Stanley
like,
Kubrick one that he kind of took in a little different
but
direction, but
see, once again, going back to you're talking about how a lot of these directors were friends with each other and stuff.
mhm,
Stanley Kubrick and Steven Spielberg were friends,
right,
but they grew up at
right.
the same time where they were all making movies, together. Even though Stanley Kubrick was a little older and doing stuff, way beforehand, they were all kind of coming up together and they were all like, I guess they would meet at places and then they would hang out and talk and everything. So
And then there are certain film I just haven't seen a lot that he's done since like World of the War of the Worlds. I haven't really watched much beyond that, other than I got dragged to see Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which was one of the worst Hollywood films I've seen in forever.
he kind of like I think he had left a bad taste in his mouth with Indiana Jones stuff. I don't know, but
It was dreadful.
it wasn't my favorite. I really love Temple of Doom and Last Crusades and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Obviously, that's even better, but the best. But those three right there are fantastic. So if I could only own three, I'd be fine. Like I'm a completist, but still, I'd be okay with not having, ever having Kingdom of the Lost Skull. And I'm not really looking forward to the new one, but I'll watch it just because I've seen all the other ones. So,
Mhm.
all right. So, and he didn't direct that one, by the way. He stopped directing after the Kingdom Lost Skull, and
So
I can see why.
you were sort of like Pacey then, or not Pacey? You were like the other dude uh, from the
Dawson?
show. Yeah, yeah, Dawson.
Yeah, I was, really into, but I wasn't as into Steven Spielberg as Dawson was. After rewatching that show recently, Dawson didn't just love Steven Spielberg, like that was his favorite director of all time. That was the one he admired and aspired to be, and looking at who he was, his character was, he was a Steven Spielberg, like, that
Simp.
was yeah, that kind of thing. So, me, and we'll talk about who my favorite people are, and and that'll be my top, basically my top three or actually top four will probably describe me, but we'll get into that in a second. We're gonna go to number six, which is the guy that you mentioned, who we were just talking about with Steven Spielberg, Stanley Kubrick.
Yay.
The Shining. We just did The Killing on Criterion
Hmm.
Watch. Had a blast with that. We absolutely love Stanley Kubrick here
Oh yeah.
at Indie Film Cafe. We adore him. We talk about him all the time.
There you'll get Neil Breen and Stanley Kubrick.
Best of both worlds, right
Best of
there.
both worlds.
Hermaphroditic porn.
There you go.
But yeah, so I absolutely love those two I love Stanley Kubrick. I love everything he's ever done. Clockwork Orange, we forgot to mention before. I mean, I could go down his like
And,
fucking
and you've
thing, and
watched all his films, right?
pretty much like I just saw Barry Lyndon for the first time
Oh, what a
last
brilliant
year,
movie.
and fantastic. And I bought that for Criterion from Criterion.
Could talk for hours on that one too.
I know. I think we're gonna do that one day when we can all just sit down and watch it for like the 3 something hours that it is.
Well, yeah, and I wanna bring a third. I want to do that in the studio and bring someone who's never seen it before. I really
Yes,
want to open their
that
eyes
would
to
be
it.
fantastic.
You know,
So yeah, we'll do that eventually.
I think Joe would really love that.
Mm, Jolene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, be a little. Say Jolene when you say Joe, because I'm not sure which Joe. We have two Joes in our crew. So yeah, Stanley Kubrick's a fantastic director. Just like, you have Orson Welles that you also talk about and stuff. And Stanley Kubrick's kind of like my Orson Welles of like somebody who's really good, really fantastic, high up there, but just not my favorite because, just like you, I didn't grow up on him. I grew up on him later in life. Maybe later one day he'll be down lower and stuff because I would have seen everything he's done, which I think I've seen almost everything. There's a few I haven't seen. So there you go.
Okay.
Number five. Somebody you're gonna be maybe a little surprised, but maybe not. Rob Reiner. Um,
Okay.
now Princess Bride is one of my favorite movies of all time. Misery. Uh, he did the I can't even think of the blinking on the name. The had it in my head the other day. Um, the one with the band. This is Spinal Tap.
Oh yeah,
He did This
Spinal
Is
Tap.
Spinal
That's a great
Tap.
film.
He did Stand By Me. He
Mhm.
did, I mean, that dude. And after rewatching Stand By Me, which we're going to be doing eventually for Film Freaks, watching that movie again really brought like feelings and nostalgia and stuff back that you probably didn't have when watching it, but I really
Chopper,
did.
sick balls.
That's what I heard is chopper sick balls. Like that movie, it just for me just like melted my heart and made me and I think I respected it a lot more as an adult than I could have as a kid and
Mhm.
stuff. And having not seen it in years, I don't think I've seen it since I was a kid because it's just not a movie I just normally put on, but I've owned it for a while. I just never like sat down and rewatched it. Just a fantastic movie, and Rob Reiner is so good. And he sadly is one of those directors that after a while kind of started kind of fading and doing like less stuff that I was interested in and stuff like that. And so, but man, you think about like he's made at least 5 movies that I think are just fantastic. And I don't think there's a lot of directors out there that can make five, these days. You know what I mean? That I
I
think are
agree.
just as fantastic as that. So I love Rob Reiner. He's my number five
Yep.
guy.
He's in my top 50, I would say.
Okay. Um, Now my number four. So these are the 4 people. If you were to say, what is your like, who are your people that you would most like want to say are me? These are me. If you know me, you know these 4 people, and I'm pretty sure you know everyone. You might not know them, which order they are, or whatever. And it was tough to put these people in order, but I'm going to tell you why I put everybody in the order that I did. Number
David
four,
the Rock Nelson.
yes. Number four is Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, there you go.
Quentin Tarantino, yes, you knew that was one of them, right?
I didn't think he'd be
Tarantino,
four. I figured
what?
he'd be two for you.
He's you'll see what he's I because I thought about that, and you'll see why number two is number two. But number four, because Tarantino is just one of those directors who I absolutely adore. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that movie became my favorite. Like, have you seen it yet?
Oh yeah, it's a great film.
Yeah. So I absolutely you saw it with me, didn't you? You saw like because I know I had it. Did you watch it in LA
Uh,
with me or did you watch
I
it
think
later?
so. I think so.
So I just absolutely adore that movie. And there's just something about like once again, Leonardo DiCaprio, which weirdly enough, he's not like one of my like top 10 or top 20 favorite actors even, but he's so fucking good in this movie. Him and Brad Pitt and everything. And then Inglourious Basterds, Django, but Pulp Fiction, man, also is what put him on the map. People say Reservoir Dogs. I like Reservoir Dogs. I don't love Reservoir Dogs. I think
I love Reservoir
I
Dogs.
know it's a movie that I can watch over and over again. I own it on 4K. I love it. I mean, I like it a lot. I mean, I love it, but it's not like my
What a
favorite.
cast! What a great cast
Yeah,
of film.
and just to think, like, there were, they went to New York because fucking what's his name, Harvey Keitel was like, we're gonna make sure this is the best movie ever, so we're gonna go to New York as well as LA. So they auditioned people in LA. Then they went out to New York to find the better actors too that may not have been discovered in LA. They found Steve Buscemi and things like
Mhm.
people like that, and just fantastic.
I don't tip because society says I have to.
I know, like that movie really put Steve Buscemi on the map, I think.
Oh yeah,
He had done stuff, but that movie was really it. Tim Roth, I mean, everybody. So Tarantino, such a fantastic director. I
and a
don't
great
care
writer.
about the politics of what he did on set of Kill Bill and stuff as far as I think he's still a great director. Like I know people have fucked up and done stupid shit that get him into some trouble, but you know what? I'll let that go for things because I really look at the body of work that he's done, and everything he's done, I love,
Yeah,
like
he's
pretty
another
much.
one who is a great writer and who has a vision, a complete vision of what he wants to accomplish in his film, and he's not going to compromise the vision. He's going to do it exactly the way he wants it. You know, for the one that you talked about, the LA one, uh, they went into meticulous detail as far as remaking the the LA of that time period.
Mm,
And I just love the fact that he pays such attention to that. It's just great.
yeah. Like you are one of those people that pay attention to the backgrounds of these things, and
Yes.
you can't once in that movie probably point out and say, why did they put that in the background there? Because in any of his movies,
No continuity errors.
he's very specific.
Mhm.
He has a vision. He seeks it out. We talk about this all the time on all our shows. Vision. If somebody has a vision, James Wan always has a vision. That's why I like him. If you have a vision, you're really good. You know what you're doing. There you go.
And he's actually a pretty darn good actor. I think people don't give him the credit for that either.
Hmm.
It's just a shame. I would really like to see him in other films. I think he's really cool.
Yeah. He was great. He showed up in Desperado, had like a little cameo kind of thing, which is pretty neat. But all right. So it's my number four. My number three. Somebody you're gonna be a little shocked, maybe a little shocked about because you mentioned him earlier, but you were saying sort of you wouldn't think you'd be on any of these things. He was on mine. Edward D. Wood Jr.
Uh,
Which he's not. I don't because you picked it with like these are like great filmmakers who have like inspired people and stuff. He
or at least
inspires
inspired
people.
me.
Yeah, he inspires people in a different way. Because he didn't care about like he's not like Tarantino caring about what's in the background or what's going on. He cares about making the movie he wants to make. He's gonna do it the way he's gonna do it. He's not gonna let anything stop him, because he doesn't have the money, he doesn't have the time, but he's gonna make it, damn it. And he did, and he made Plan 9 from Outer Space and Bride of the Monster and Night of the Ghouls and Glen or Glenda, Jailbait, all these movies that he just doesn't get the respect, I think. And I think
And
it's because, I mean, they're bad,
sure,
but
he's
they're
very
still,
quirky and individual. You know an Ed Wood movie when you see it coming from a mile away.
you know, so there you
You
go. He
know,
has a vision, he
so
has a style, he has a look. He's Edward D. Wood Jr.
I
So,
mean, the only reason some of those movies weren't better was mainly because of money. I mean, and
hmm
that's a shame. I mean, in other words, I like him because he thought bigger than what he could actually do, and he wasn't somebody who just I'm just going to do this and that's it. I don't care. I'm doing this just to make a buck or whatever. He wanted to tell stories, and he was very sincere in his desire to entertain people, and I respect that. I just, for me, um, the intentions are great for him, but you got to have more than you got to have more than
right.
that. There's nothing I can point to that I would say, oh, I wish I could do something just like he did, you know. But he's more like a mascot. I mean, how could you not love Ed Wood? I mean,
Right. No, absolutely. All right. So number number three is Ed Wood. Number two, Kevin Smith.
yeah,
Well,
there you go.
now you probably knew he was on my list
Oh
somewhere in
yeah,
the top
oh, yeah.
20 and stuff, and you probably knew it was low on the list and everything. And you might have thought he was number one, maybe. Some people might have thought that because they know me very well on that. You know who my number one is. So, I mean, we're not going to say it till we get to it. So it's not going to be any surprise, but for you, but it will maybe for other people. Um, Kevin Smith was one of the filmmakers who inspired me to become a filmmaker. He's the guy, much like Ed Wood, Edward D. Wood Jr., where he I mean, he went out, spent $27,000, made a movie called Clerks that he didn't even think would go anywhere. He didn't have a clue. He just thought it was a fun, goofy movie with his friends. At least he made something, and he can tell people, I'm a filmmaker. I made something. It something happened. It just went boom, boom, boom. He got out there. He made Mallrats, which is the movie that I saw,
My
first
favorite.
movie I saw and I loved. And then, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jane and Silent Bob Strike Back, Jersey Girl, which does not get enough credit. I feel like people hate on it because of the Bennifer situation. Don't give a crap about that. I still love the movie. Thought Liv Tyler was one of the sweetest. Oh, just love her, adore her. Like everything in that movie. And even his newer stuff like Tusk, Hosers, he was starting to like whatever, but I like and Clerks 3,
Clerks
even
2 is great.
though there was a Clerks 2 was fantastic. Clerks 3 was not as high up on my list as Clerks 2 is, but I got it. You've seen
Yeah.
it, right? You saw
Oh
it, right?
yeah, I liked
Yeah.
it.
I liked it a lot. John Ward hated it, thought it wasn't his cup of tea, and he just
It,
had
it
like
brought
problems.
nice closure, which was
I
cool.
felt I felt it did. I felt the ending was not the way I wanted it to go, but then once I kind of sat on it and ruminated, I was like, okay, because it's just the only way it could go, in my opinion.
I hear you. Kevin Smith is one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. One of my favorite storytellers. I'll watch anything Kevin Smith does. I just don't know as a director that I could say that he's one of my favorites as a director. He's a great
So
writer, great storyteller, but as a director, I kind of think he's kind of meh, honestly.
I don't think so because his movies that he writes are not made to be these swooping, you know, movies where the camera comes down. He did that a couple of times, like even Jane Silent Bob Strike Back and especially Clerks 2 had some amazing crane shots that Dave Klein did, showed Dave Klein as a much better, I think it was Dave Klein that did it, but later on, Dave Klein would work with Disney now for doing The Mandalorian and things like that. And I think that's amazing that, he started out with Kevin doing a movie where they were making fun of Star Wars in a way, or like poking fun at things on Star Wars. Then later he's working for Star Wars stuff. I think that's awesome. Kind of
He's
a
definitely gotten better as his budgets have gotten larger.
Yeah.
So
I think he is one of those directors who I really enjoy everything he's done. And once again, he inspires me as a person to go out and fucking make movies and stuff.
mm,
So I will always hold him up high. I don't think yeah, like I said, he's not making movies that are swooping epics or anything. He's making movies that are just fun, goofy, silly, and only need like two shots,
well, the thing
people.
that I love about him and Tarantino, they're both masters of certain things. Like Kevin
Dialogue.
Smith, well, dialogue definitely for Tarantino, but to me, dialogue is great for Smith. But his sense of characters, his individual characters, always capture me. I think that they're just a lot of fun. I'm very interested in all of them. I want to know what happens to every character he writes. I want to know about them. And
Yeah,
he's
do you have
made
any of the
this
the comics expand on them? And
all of the View
he,
Askewverse is so
yeah,
interesting. I love how they're all connected, and I want to know about them. So he makes great characters.
yeah, and he actually, interestingly enough, he claims that Marvel, his love for Marvel comics and the crossovers and the different stuff with that helped him built his Skuniverse. So I love him. I've always loved him since I first discovered Mallrats. I was like, what the fuck is this movie? And we did that. We reviewed that for
Yeah.
Hollywood Knockbusters, and it is a fantastic, like
I always
so.
thought, how much fun would it have been if just one episode, one Buffy episode was written by Kevin Smith? How freaking awesome would that have been?
Yeah, interestingly enough, what's his name? Joss Whedon is not on my list of directors, even though he should be. Maybe at some point in the top 100 at least. But he's not. He's not. I don't think he even makes my 50 right now. Because
Yeah, same here.
yeah, like he's great at TV.
Hmm.
He's a great TV director and TV writer, but not. No, I don't know. Anyway, my number one, as you probably know, probably anybody who knows me personally or has like hung out with me long enough will know is Alfred Hitchcock. That was who you were thinking, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. So Alfred Hitchcock, we do a show on Indie Film Cafe called Hooked on Hitchcock. I have almost, if not all, I think I might have all of the movies from Criterion that are on Blu-ray for uh, Hitchcock. But the ones that they need to put out on Blu-ray, like Spellbound and a couple other ones that I think deserve one. But
39 Steps, one of my absolute favorite movies.
39 Steps is fucking amazing. The shots in that thing
Blows
just
me away. It's my favorite movie from him.
so we just watched The Paradigm Case, and that movie you said you
Never
never
saw
even
it.
heard of. And it was probably his like one of the ones that kind of bombed for him and stuff, because he made sort of a dark drama during the war, or like right after World War II, and that was like a no-no. Kind of everybody wanted to see comedy and happy things, nobody wanted to see this dark, sort of
Rebecca.
drama. What?
Rebecca.
Rebecca was like, yeah, during that time too, and that was dark, but that was a lot of, I mean, that was a great haunting, movie, and I mean, showing Larry, G. Larry Butler, the movies he's never seen. By the way, he loved Liz, and so maybe Liz will probably show up more because that was her
Really?
first Hitchcock movie. She hasn't even seen
Wow.
Psycho.
Not even the birds?
No, she hasn't seen anything of his. That was the
Wow.
Paradigm Case is her first Hitchcock. And I was like,
That's what I'm saying,
wait,
man. I wish we
that's
had some of these folks locally so we could just sit their butts down and make them watch, not just make them watch crappy films, but actually
well,
make
that's
them
sort of
watch
what we're
great films.
doing. I mean, we're doing that in the through this, and
Yeah,
whatnot.
it's
But
more fun to have them there and you can
I
see
know it's fun to
snaps.
watch their
Yeah,
expression, and so
yeah.
just like you showed me John Waters, like with Pink Flamingos, saw my expression on my face, which is shock and awe. Um, Alfred Hitchcock, there's just something about him as a director that he did a movie a year, kind of like Woody Allen was doing for a while. I think he still does,
Very
basically.
prolific.
Yeah, and he did a movie a year, and sometimes he had hits and sometimes he had misses, or whatever. But even his like misses are better than you know anything some other filmmakers can do. Like his misses are better than some of the newer filmmakers that are out right now that are famous for doing the stuff, and I'm not going to name names, but I think Hitchcock is one of those guys that I just absolutely adore, and I will always adore everything he does. So I'm loving doing this Hooked on Hitchcock show with Larry because it is watching basically every movie that Hitchcock has
Mhm.
made. It's going to take us like 5, 6 years or whatever, but we're going to do it, you
Yeah,
know?
he's definitely one of the great directors. I don't love him as much as you do, but I got lots of respect. Certainly, Psycho is one of the great films of all
Uh,
time. The Birds is really, really
Psycho, The
good.
Birds, North by
Um,
Northwest,
North by Northwest.
Vertigo, Rear Window. I mean, he's made.
Not so much into the Rear Window.
At first I wasn't. The first time I watched, I kind of got bored. But the more time I like, when I like forced myself to sit down and just like, no matter what, watch it. I started to see it in a different way, and I said, "This is actually really good," and I liked it. So I don't know. Maybe it's a movie that grows on you. But a lot of people just love that movie and everything. So,
Mhm.
but yeah,
Yeah, so he didn't quite make it in the top 20 for me, but he's in the next group. So
Yeah. He's
next
up
20.
there. I mean, so like Stanley Kubrick's your favorite, Alfred Hitchcock's mine, and you can kind of see sort of a similarity with them, with their styles, with their kind of the movies that they just kept making. And then the
Mm.
fact that both of them are British, by the way, like,
Yeah.
you know,
And Rebecca is one movie that I remember seeing years ago and was kind of like, yeah. And then I hadn't seen it for a long, long, long
until we
time.
watched it on Criterion
We
Watch,
watched it
right?
again, and then I was like, wow, this is a lot better than I remember.
I think a lot of what might have turned you off too was that David O. Selznick produced it. Interesting that I don't think we brought up on the show is that uh, Selznick was busy with Gone with the Wind at the time, and
Mm.
so he was busy doing that, and he left Hitchcock alone and maybe it was Gone with the Wind. It was something. He was busy with another project, and he left Hitchcock alone, and that's why Hitchcock was able to make Rebecca as great as it was. Later, when a Paradigm Case, one of the biggest problems with the movie is that Selznick even wrote the movie. Like he would do it where he would change the script, rewrite the script the day of,
See,
so
once
everybody would
again,
have to.
studio ruining an artist's
Yeah, so
vision.
somebody coming in and kind of taking over and saying you have to do this, and that was the last Hitchcock Selznick project on his 7-year contract, and Hitchcock was like, "See ya." I like he did not like being controlled by a studio, and
Mhm. Of
once again, another guy just
course.
like Kubrick or Bill Forsyth or any of these guys that we talked about, who once they've kind of left the studio system, they were able to go out and make their own projects.
And the other thing that I like about Hitchcock is that he always seems to worm in, even when you're least expected, a little bit of black humor, a little bit of wicked
Mhm.
humor that it's nice because it will work. Sometimes, even like in Rebecca or something where it's kind of dark, you'll have this little itty bitty moment that's just kind of funny and it sort of breaks the tension and allows it
And
to come up again.
it's funny today too, which is not
Mm.
easy these days to have an
Right,
old movie made in the 30s or 40s or whatever that is still funny today.
right,
Because what was funny back then, it's not necessarily what's funny today. But I
right.
I was still laughing, at these things because they are just sort of things that are just normal, humor.
Yeah, and comedy is not easy, but when you can find those moments, especially because Kubrick will also sneak in comedy from here when you least
Mhm.
expect it. Kurosawa, I remember you were saying I couldn't remember expecting it to be funny, and there were a number of funny scenes in that
Yeah,
in that
and
film.
Hidden Fortress, when I was watching it, I was laughing more, but it was because those two doofy guys were just like, what are we doing here? And then
Yeah.
they
And
like,
that is the classic Shakespearean technique of having, all this tension and ratcheting it up, and then you let it go with a little bit of comedy. This way you can ratchet it up again, because if not, it just gets too tight and too confining, and people won't enjoy it, you know.
I think the biggest problem I think right now that we have in Hollywood is that we're sort of letting the culture, that we have right now, the politics, the culture, all that stuff stand in the way of the movies. So people are in the studios are saying, we need to put this in here, we need to put that in there because that's what the world is going toward right now.
That's bad.
And instead of allowing things to just seem like a natural thing, and that's sort of what I'm writing movies right now that are more mainstream that are sort of going back to harken back to the old days of
Mm,
comedies where comedies were sort of more, there wasn't this social politics and there's not these sort of things. There's stuff that you would have saw back in the day with people like Amy Heckerling doing Clueless or something, or whatever, where in Fast Times at Ridgemont High and things like that, where it's more funny and goofy, but it's more, you know, like because it feels like the comedy
yeah.
of the
So
older
that
days.
that is that is definitely something that is tainting modern movies. And the other thing that really bugs me is the short attention span of everything. Everything has to be like that. They don't allow directors or writers to let their movie or let their story or let their narrative evolve. Let them tell it at their own pace. Let the thing unfurl itself. You will be entertained by a movie. Trust me. People, oh, it's a
Just give it a chance.
slow burn, or yeah.
Well,
Let the
that's
movie go. Let it develop.
so a director who's going to eventually be on he's on the top 100 at least. I don't know if he's going to be on the top 50, but he'll be on the top 100 is Ty West, who I think, I don't know if you've seen X yet, but that's fucking amazing. But like, I watched House of the Devil for horror film lovers. And when I first watched, there was another one he had done, that was just sort of a slow burn. And I didn't like it because it was slow and stuff. But now I need to rewatch it because I watched this House of the Devil, which was considered a slow burn. I did not find it to be a slow burn at all. People called it a slow burn, and I was scared of it for a while, but I was like, I'm going to put it for horror film lovers. Everybody keeps talking about it. I'm going to watch it for the first time. And me and Michael McGlynn had the best time with that, talking about that movie. Fucking House of the
Haven't
Devil is
seen it.
amazing.
Heard it
What?
was good. I
Yeah.
haven't seen it, but I've heard it was good. The guy I was thinking about is someone like Terrence Malick. You have
Yo,
to
dude, he's on my
allow
list.
him
Yeah, on my
to
list too.
tell his story. Some people they just get too bored with it. I'm like, come on, man, this is you just sit down and enjoy it for
Tree
three
of Life,
hours.
man. That movie, if you just sit down, it's like
Turn off your
over
phone.
over 3 hours long or whatever, I think, something like that. But
Give it a shot.
if you know that, you just sit down and just, yeah, turn off your phone, sit down, say, okay, for 3 hours or whatever it is, maybe 2.5 hours, whatever it is, I'm gonna sit down here and I'm gonna watch this movie. Watch it because that movie will blow your mind
Right.
visually, and it'll leave you in a good feeling. I bet if we had Vincent Pereira up for his top, 20, two of the people he would say is like Michael Cimino,
Hmm.
who did, and he's up there in my
Deer
top.
Hunter.
Yeah, and he's fantastic. Or Dario Argento, which you had, and
Oh
he's on
yeah.
top.
Oh yeah.
Those two guys are his go-to people that make him feel better or whatever. Um, I I love them to death, and I think Michael Cimino is one of those people that you have to sit down and watch Heaven's Gate, and you have
Yeah.
to actually sit down and enjoy it. I
I
think
I
people in the
love storytellers. I love people who are immersive. I love people who build worlds.
Mhm.
And you get to leave whatever life that you have, however shitty your life is, whatever's going on, 2 or 3 hours, you get to be immersed into this whole new world. And if you just let it go, you know, and enjoy it, you'll have a
Yeah.
great experience.
What was the other yeah, Deer Hunter, that Michael Cimino did.
Oh,
Things
great
like
film.
that, just amazing movies. But you have to stay, like still, you have to focus, you have to watch. And if you watch, you're gonna have an experience. It's not gonna be just like Godfather or Goodfellas or anything like that, those kind of crime stuff or whatever. You're gonna sit there and you're gonna enjoy the movie for what it is and everything. But a lot of people don't want to do that. People want everything to be fast and everything they want it now. They uh but here's the funny thing is people say, "Oh, I don't like 3 hour long movies." Then sit around and watch 3 hours of, binge watch 3 hours of television shows.
Mhm.
If you can binge watch
I,
3 hours of television shows, you can watch, a three
I
hour long
don't
movie.
understand people who won't watch a longer film, or who they'll say, "Oh, I won't watch a movie if it's in black and white. I won't watch a movie if it's subtitled or not in English."
I can
You
sort of
know,
understand going to the theater and watching it because, like, for 3 hours, my bladder, like, me already. I have to pause things when we're watching longer movies, go to the bathroom, come back. I mean, you're the same way. So don't you laugh at me all that, all that. And so it's just one of those things where you just, like, nowadays we have no excuses when we watch things at home that we don't have time. Like, I watched
well,
Fisher King, and that was not 2.5 hours, but it was close. And once again, I was invested in the movie. Like I was,
Oh, you
so
need. I will be mesmerized when a story is really well done. I mean, I can remember Dark City, seeing that in the theater. I never left my seat once. I didn't care what
nope.
was going to happen. Pan's Labyrinth, talk about a longer movie that just sucks you in and never lets you go, and you emerge from that completely drained, and you want more, more, more. That's a movie I can't imagine what people would, some of the kids now would even try to watch it, and I don't know. I just don't understand.
Mm,
Let the storyteller tell his story or her story. Let them entertain you. That's what you're paying the ticket for.
uh-huh. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for, I think this is pretty good. I think we got about 2 hours or close to it,
There you go.
of this. So it was a long episode. I'm sorry,
Right. That's
but
why I didn't want to do 50 or
God, if we had done 50,
because
holy
at least we
shit.
got to talk about each one.
Yeah, and I think, I think this was fun. We will be doing, I think our next one will be on Indie Film Cafe. And now that I'm thinking about it, might end up being what, 20 to 40, 21 to 40. And
Not a
then we'll
bad
just keep
idea.
doing that, top 20, like the next top 20 and stuff, and doing that, breaking them up and then we'll put them in we can put them in a playlist, and people can watch them back to back if they want to, if they have time to watch 8 hours. If you can watch all of these and listen to, I mean, I watch hours of YouTube videos sometimes and everything. If I can do that, I can watch Hidden Fortress. I can watch, these movies that are just a little longer than your typical, Hollywood crap. But even the Hollywood stuff for being long, and then they're getting in trouble for being too long. But I'm like, if there's a story, leave it. If there's a
Mhm.
story, and if it's not interesting, then definitely don't leave it. But like whatever. So anyway, my point is really just sit down, watch a movie, enjoy it, and let us know who's your top 20 favorite directors. I mean, it can be like Paul, where Paul liked people that inspired him as far as like technique and visual styles and
Artistic
things,
merit.
artistic merit. Or me, who just inspired me to become a filmmaker. See, he thinks of it as an artist because of he's not a filmmaker, but he's a guy who loves film, and everything. I think of it as a filmmaker, and these are a lot of the top 20 people who inspire me, and I don't think any of them really shocked you that I would say these things. I've probably mentioned every single one of these directors at some point in
Is
my
there
life talking
anyone
about them.
that I mentioned that was surprised you?
I'm trying to think. No, I don't think so.
Lars von Trier or
No, because I mean, even if I wasn't thinking that he's on your top 20, I would have, because I knew you've talked about
uh,
Antichrist and you've talked about these things, so I'm not
are you
surprised.
surprised that I put Ridley Scott on there, even though he's a lot more of a Hollywood guy?
No, because Blade Runner is one of your favorite movies of all time.
Absolutely,
Like I thought
absolutely.
he was actually lower on your list, to be honest, because Blade Runner is so high up. You know who I thought was on your list? Okay, I'm gonna tell you who I thought was on your list. You tell me who you thought was gonna be on my list. Okay, so you can give a couple directors that you thought, but George Miller, I thought was gonna be on your list because I know you love the
I love George Miller.
Road Warrior movies and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like that. Um, you said you weren't going to put anybody stinky on your list, so we're not going to have like Neil Breen on your list. But Neil Breen is one of your favorite like bad filmmakers, and whatnot. I'm trying to think of somebody else that you um would have put.
well,
Like I was surprised you didn't.
I
What?
can tell you the one guy that I remembered now that I forgot that was on the 20, that but because I forgot I didn't get him on this one, and that's Gaspar Noé.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Everybody's talking about his newest movie and stuff.
I know. I've heard so many good
Um,
things about it. I haven't
I
seen it.
didn't watch Irreversible.
Great film.
Once again, one of those extreme movies. I just
It's
don't
hard.
like rape
Well,
movies. I
two
mean,
scenes, just two scenes. The rest of the movie's, not like that. But
I'm surprised. was the who's the director of uh who's the director of Deliverance? Um,
Oh, yeah, John Borman's in my
John Boorman. Yeah.
is in the next group.
Okay. I would have thought so.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
okay, so you said John Boorman, and I thought for before John Badham, who's a completely different director. I
Yeah.
like John Badham too. He's probably on my top 100, but he's not, you know, he's not in my top 50, I don't think, or would be. It's weird because in my top 50, there are going to be people that you're going to be like, really? Top, you
Well,
know?
and there's a guy that there's somebody that I thought you would have mentioned,
Yeah, who?
and then I'm surprised you didn't think that I was going to mention, and that's the Cohen guys.
Oh, the Coen brothers. Yeah, I think we
Yeah,
talked about them, but they're okay. I like them
they're in
a
the
lot.
next group for me.
They're in my top 100, but they're not in my top 50 even because
Huh.
I'm not. I like them. Like I love Blood Simple. I love Hudsucker Proxy, and I mean obviously Fargo and stuff. But I don't know. Just they're just too quirky, maybe like too quirky.
Hmm.
That at times I can't watch. Like I never liked The Big Lebowski, and I know I'm gonna get
Oh my
shit
God, I
for
love
that.
that movie.
I never liked it.
Come on, you Lebowski.
I thought it was kind of annoying. And and that's maybe why you liked it, because you
Oh
like
yeah.
things that are sort of annoying and things. I didn't find I didn't find what is it? What's his name? Jeff Daniels, or not Jeff Daniels. It's a completely different actor. Jeff. God damn it, the guy uh in Fisher King. Uh, God, it was Jeff Bridges, who was who was uh in the Coen Brothers stuff, and everything. But yeah, I'm just not really big fan of that stuff. So Big
Hmm.
Lebowski was not my favorite, but and
I
I'm
can't say that I love all their movies, but a lot of them I do like, and I do like the quirky stuff they're
see,
doing.
that's the thing. That's why I
Blood
would have
Simple's a
probably
great
thought they'd be
movie
on your top 20. But then
without
again,
those
when I
quirky
heard your
stuff.
top 20, now I totally get it.
Mm.
Those are the people that I feel like,
Can't wait to show you Lone Star from John Sayles. Great
yeah,
film.
there's going to be a few movies that, I'm excited about watching because I've never seen them. Um, I just like I watched Two-Lane Blacktop, so watched my first Monty Hellman movie, and never seen anything he had done. And he also did the other one, Cockfighter, which I don't know if I really want to see cockfighting, but I've heard it's such a great movie. I'm like, I
Mm.
don't know if I want to see two like chickens fight each other, like I don't, because it was really, I don't know if they really like if that was just acting with the chickens or if they used real chickens to fight. And now I'm like worried because I think they did, and I don't want to see that because we had situations with real cockfighters and I think so. Can I actually
Funny you
say that
should
online?
mention that because there's going to be a little bit of that in the movie we're going to do with Just Jen coming up. So
Oh,
just to
mm,
get you thinking about something.
great. Well, okay.
Just a
Anyway,
little bit, a little bit.
anyway.
There's some
So
chicken stuff
I
going
just
on.
want to say thank you. You were my first guest on this. You won't be my last. We've got some great stuff. We're gonna be doing this once a month. It's gonna be top 20 Thursdays. We'll do other top 20s, not just top 20 filmmakers, because obviously I did my top 20
Top
filmmakers,
20
but
monkey movies.
we can do that for Indie Film Cafe. We can do a bunch of top 20 whatever movies for Indie Film Cafe. But anyway, if you guys want to see this stuff, let us know what top 20 movies. I already
Yeah,
have like a
throw a
list.
throw a topic out there for us.
Yeah, I already have a list for Blu-ray Hunter, but I don't have any list for Indie Film Cafe. So if there's like a top 20 Godzilla movies or something, I don't care.
20 Nicolas Cage movies. I like that idea.
Nicolas Cage movies. Yeah, we can. John Ward would love that because he's got a thing for Nicolas Cage movies. I don't think he has a thing for Nicolas Cage, just his movies that he acts in. And that would be fun because there's a lot, to discuss.
Top 20
And there's
werewolf
probably
movies.
some I still haven't seen that I need to.
Because I know
Uh,
you like werewolves.
top 10 or top 20
Top
werewolf
20
movies. Yeah.
werewolf movies. Yeah.
Yep. I'm still a big werewolf fan. That's like my favorite creature, feature type thing. That and Sasquatches are my favorite. So top 20 Sasquatch movies
There you
or
go.
like Bigfoot type movies could include Yetis, and stuff like that. So I mean there are a ton that we can do and we're probably going to. We're not going to do it once a week on Indie Film Cafe like we do it here. Paul doesn't have the time. I have more time on my hands to do that kind of stuff and everything. He doesn't, so we'll do it every now and then. But you'll get one, you'll get some, and we'll probably have like six a year maybe that we'll do or something. We
Okay.
have to get through all the we have to get through all the favorite movies first. You know,
I'd love to do like a top 20 film noir. That would be
we
great.
are gonna do our. I forgot to mention this. We are gonna do our top 100, but not all together like that because good God, that would take take
Yeah,
hours.
no.
But we're gonna do our top 100 favorite films, and that is like not necessarily that doesn't necessarily mean the best films of all time. Just like we said, this doesn't necessarily mean the best directors of all time, but like the best films that we love,
Favorite films.
favorite films. And so kind of like the AFI has the best films and
Like
stuff.
Film Freaks.
Yeah, we've already done a few on Film Freaks. I bet we'll make our lists. So, and that's fantastic. And that's the great thing is if I have 100 movies, you have 100 movies, that's 200. Well, probably less than that because I'm sure a couple will probably go together. We'll probably have on our 100 list, but that's going to be movies that we will do on Indie Film Cafe for
I'm
Film Freaks and stuff.
sure Actium Maximus will feature pretty high up in your list.
If it's the top 20 movies I don't ever want to see again,
There you go. Top 20 movies you never want to see again. That's
you
great.
never want to see again. Yes,
Top
Schindler's
20 movies
List
I
and
hate, hate,
Actium
hate.
Maximus are on our list. You know, um,
Or
but yeah,
top 20 movies I expected to hate but turned out to really like. That's always a fun one.
you just start writing all these ideas down, and we'll start doing what we can when we do them. Because there'll be some times where we could do this, like we have no other, maybe we don't have anybody for this week, and so let's just do a top whatever,
Top 20 dog movies.
top 20 cow movies with a cow in it. First Cow. I haven't seen that yet, but it's on my list of A24
Dying to
movies
see
I'm
it.
trying to get.
Dying to see it.
You're dying. Yeah, I'm surprised you don't own it yet.
Not
What?
yet.
Yeah, what's wrong with you? You're a cow guy, you know.
I got a
Uh,
giant backlog of movies that I've got to get.
we both do. We have a
I got a
giant list.
mortgage I got to pay, so
Yeah, I have like I think on this Criterion sale coming up, I'm gonna buy 20 movies,
if I get two, I'll
five
be happy.
4Ks and then 15 Blu-rays, and you're like, fuck, I'll be lucky if I get two or three, you
Yeah,
know.
that's about it.
One will probably be.
Well, it's buy one get one free, so it'll be at least two or four, isn't it?
No, well, it's 50% off.
50%
So
off. So
so what you would normally spend for one movie, you're half off. So
yeah,
what you would normally spend for one movie, you could get two. And that's it. Like for $40, you get two movies,
yeah.
which is actually a really good deal.
Well,
Arrow's
in other words,
doing one all the way to May 2nd right now. And they've got some, I'll send you, I don't know if John Ward sent you that
oh
list
yeah,
yet.
he's already sent me.
Okay, sent you that list.
But there's no reason to get an odd number of movies because of that. So you may as well get, you know, two or four or six or eight.
Yeah, you might as well because you're already going to be, whatever. So I'm going to be getting 20, but that's, and it's like that's my plan. We'll see if that happens, if I have the money to do that or not. But I'm hoping I will because I'm going to try, you know. But we got a lot of stuff going on. So any film
Well, and
cafe
then
and
the other thing is, much as I love Criterion, I don't know that there's 20 that I want to buy right now. So
a lot of what I want to get is I want to get the ones that are part of the AFI 100 because I'm already like on the hunt for those. So I'm
mm,
buying a bunch of them already. And then, I mean, there's a lot that's on the AFI 100 that's on Criterion, including one of your favorites, Doctor Strangelove. and I don't own that yet. So
Ah,
it's one.
very cool.
It's a Stanley Kubrick movie I can't wait to own. It's one of my dad's favorite Stanley Kubrick movies,
Very
and
cool.
stuff. So perfect movie to watch, with my dad sometime, and everything. But aside from that, yeah. So we do Indie Film Cafe. Check us out on there. Once again, the link will be down below. And you'll see more tops. You'll see the top. Well, next it's going to be top 21 to 40, then 41 to 60, then, whatnot, up to
And
100
don't forget to
directors.
ask me about my moo cow.
I wasn't even thinking about doing that, even though it's on your shirt. So ask him about his moo cow, I guess, in the comments below. Anyway, if you lasted this long, thank God. Thank you for doing that. You're probably haven't gone this far yet. Unless you're one of us and we're just checking to hear it again or something.
That's fun. Have it in the background. No big deal.
Yeah, it's like a podcast, because we're
Buddy?
not doing anything cool. We're just talking. All right, everybody. Join us. Well, join me for the Blu-ray Hunter on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays for Blues Days,
There you go.
Blu-ray days. So, until then, everybody, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.